Some Crazy, a podcast where I, your host, try to give you some tips on how you can explain all this weird, wild, crazy conspiracy stuff to the people you love most. Because that's what I've been trying to do for the past 10 years with no success.
I've been telling everybody that our government is shady, but every time I do, my family thinks I'm crazy. The hollow earth, UFOs, aliens invading, fluoride in the water, this rare skies daily. When I talk about these things, they think I'm crazy. There's no escaping anyone, the evil that we're facing. Illuminati mind control, they're sacrificing babies. The end of days, but anyways, my family thinks I'm crazy.
What, they don't want to listen to you?
No, they don't want to listen. They don't want to hear it. They're just like, oh, here we go, Mark. Off again with your...
Mark being Mark again.
Yeah. So, that's the thing about podcasts is when you're on the air, and it's like therapy, If I can't talk to my family about this stuff, I'll talk to you, Matt, and all our listeners.
You'll just tell your whole podcast.
Yeah. So who are we talking about today, Matt?
They think that I'm crazy. They really think that I'm crazy. They really think that I'm crazy. My family thinks that I'm crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the My Family Thinks I'm Crazy podcast. I'm your lovely host, Mark Palmer, here with another Swapcast. Been hanging out with a lot of fellow podcasters lately. Andy Rouse, obviously Ryan Dean. I've done many swaps with him. Alex Stein, you can see me on the Conspiracy Castle often. But today, for the very first time, I had a conversation with Jay Henehan from the How to Kill a Sacred Cow podcast, and it was a pleasure. We talked a lot about certain things that I've been interested in lately, things you folks have probably heard a lot about. There's a little confusion on whether or not it was a Swapcast, or if I was a guest on his show, or if he was a guest on mine, so... Either way, I thought it came out great, and Jay's an awesome dude. We even talked about Tartaria, everyone's favorite topic, and mine as well. But please go to howtokillasacredcow.com, support Jay on Instagram, look that up, How to Kill a Sacred Cow on Instagram, and all the other links will be in the description. Check out his podcast and the same app that you're using to listen to this podcast. And thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys like the Your Handbook for the Apocalypse, a new show on Michael Wan's podcast feed. You can find that by the name Susquehanna Alchemy. That's right, Susquehanna Alchemy. Look that up. It's a podcast, and every week we will be doing a show called Your Handbook for the Apocalypse. That's all I'm going to say now. You can listen to that episode after you listen to this one if you haven't already, but please show Mike some love. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Rockfin. We're everywhere, baby, and if you really want to be a part of the family, then you got to join patreon.com/MFTIC. That's right. So either way, we love you. Thank you for being here, and enjoy this Swapcast and a bonus special treat that I'm going to put at the end of this episode. I don't even know what it is yet. I think it might be the Laura Lenhard thing, because this episode's a little short. I wanted to put some extra stuff in and make it 2 hours. So peace out. Enjoy the episode.
I don't give a fuck who you are. Everybody's got something to hide. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone's got skeletons. Who knows how long they've been auto-transcribing telephone conversations? I mean, email and text is easy. We all know that. And here's what's fucking crazy. How the fuck does fucking Edward Snowden come out, release all that shit, survival mechanism. Because if anybody figured out what the fuck they've been up to for all these centuries, we would just wipe out all their families. You know what I mean? Like, they would be extracted from the gene pool immediately. Unless they could get down to their underground bunkers, which they would do, and just nuke the Earth. You know, start over. The only reasoning I can come up with is that it's spiritual. It's something that extends past our understanding of time and space. There's gotta be, or maybe they're blackmailed by other entities that they've been working with.
Connected.
Damn, I like the setup. I've never watched any of your videos. I've only listened to it.
Thank you. Yeah. We only put the podcast videos on Patreon right now, but I just got a Rockfin, so we'll be
Oh, nice.
we'll be putting this on Rockfin most likely.
That's fucking dope.
Right on, dude. Thanks for joining up with me today. I mean, we can really take this in any direction. We're both New Englanders. We both have experienced probably similar lockdowns. You know, you're up there with the Harvard establishment. I'm down here with the Yale establishment. So we kind of have similar influences, I'm sure. Listening to your show, I love all the guests you've had on. And yeah, dude, it's a pleasure being here with you.
And I'm very happy to be talking with you too. It's definitely it's always great to connect with other New Englanders because, you know, sometimes you feel kind of lonely with this stuff. So it's actually nice to reach out to people that are actually within arm's length.
Yeah, it does sort of feel like we're black sheep and encouraged to stay quiet in New England. You know, a lot of follower vibes around here. Maybe that's the puritanical, Protestant, Catholic, all that, you know, who knows. Me personally, I found spirituality just through smoking pot, and, you know, that as well was slow to come to this side of the country. Just recently legalized in Connecticut. And I know up there in Mass, you guys have been wrecked for some time, but yeah, that was a big step for me to getting out of that Puritan programming that we kind of go through here in New England. Was smoking the herb. I wonder if that was true for you. What was your moment that kind of brought you out of what you could have been if New England just like put you through the ringer like they do for so many people?
It's funny that you should mention it because I remember the exact moment. I had just gotten high with a bunch of my friends. We were maybe like 16, 15, something like that. We're walking down the street and I start looking at all the houses and I was like, oh my God, we just live in a bunch of boxes. I had never heard that song that became the intro for Weeds, you know, little boxes on. I had not heard that song yet. So it was actually an original thought and it just like fucked me up. And it was like, you know, everything kind of went along that kind of thread. And I even remember my first philosophical thought when I was a kid. I was driving in the car with my mom and I said, Mom, what if the colors that I see as blue and red, you see as purple and pink? And she was like, wait, what are you talking about? I was like, well, what if my red is your purple? You know, what if we're seeing different colors and we're I don't think I said experiencing life in different ways, but that's what I meant. And she was like, motherfucker, I got bills to pay. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's been the attitude and the response that I've received to most of my queries or quandaries or any philosophical anything. Yeah, I mean, I can't say I remember any childhood thoughts, but yeah, I mean, hence the name of my show, because it's like every time I tried to connect on that level with my immediate personal and familial connections, for the most part, people were just like, that same approach, you know, I got bills to pay. How does that get me from A to B? You know, that seems like you're over in W, X, Y, and Z land. People are worried about A, B, and C. And I'm trying to look at the whole picture. I always have. And I think the reason I always try to bring up cannabis, or at least give it a little credit, is because before that, I was totally I was questioning things, but it was sending me down that scientism direction. And I think a lot of people from my generation, I don't want to date you, Jay, I don't want to age you, but I'm 27. I feel like a lot of the dudes that I grew up with, gals that I grew up with, they either have this sort of blue pill attitude of none of that matters. I'm focused on A, B, C, or D, But then there's that middle ground of people who do kind of think oh yeah, I'm an intellectual. I think deeply about things, but they still follow the leader when it comes to these thought police and the scientism and how things get curbed. And like I said earlier, I was listening to your conversation with Sophia, and I thought, the way you mentioned what you were saying about medical information and disinformation, and how this information is labeled as misinformation when it's really just informed consent that we're asking for. It's as simple as just give us the square truth about what's in these products that you want our insurance companies to pay for, on our behalf, because they're getting paid for this no matter what. But it's just, yeah, maybe I'm going off on 3 different little tangents like I always do, but I think we see eye to eye in a lot of those areas.
Yeah, I think so too. And that particular conversation with Sophia, I learned a lot. I always learn a lot from her. And it really opened my eyes as to kind of the enormity of what we're dealing with. Because I've been focused on this podcast more on the mental health effects of the lockdowns and the civil liberties question more recently as to the vaccine mandates. But the shit that she was talking about, it goes right into the DNA, going down to rewriting the code. And right. I picked up on some of that, because I listen to like the Ripple Effect podcast, the 500,000 doctors that Ricky's had on, all that stuff. And so I've gotten a peek here and there into the enormity of it on that kind of a level. But to sit down with someone and actually have her explain it to me was a whole nother thing with my own questions and stuff. And it gets you worried. And to a certain extent too, especially some of the people that Ricky has on his podcast, it's a little above my pay grade. It's, that level of analysis is, I kind of take it on faith because I trust Ricky, and I after listening to, and especially he's had those doctors on his show a lot, you come to develop a level of trust where, I may not be able to figure out whether or not what they're saying is true or not, but there seems to be a level of trust there. So to actually sit down with her, and she isn't even like a doctor or anything like that. She's just very observant and very thorough. And she's been on it for a long time. She's been working on synthetic biology and chemtrails, the whole science aspect of the kind of the conspiracy, if you will. So yeah, no, I
that's nothing new though. This whole genetic, she talked about the genetic manipulation and how they're literally rewriting the DNA. I think Bruce Fenton was just on the Higher Side Chats and Tinfoil Hat recently talking about, the genetic manipulation evidence for that in our ancient past, possibly through extraterrestrials. I wonder, have you gotten into that? What are your thoughts on extraterrestrials, and do they have a part in this whole COVID thing? Because I thought it was interesting how we have all this UFO activity before the lockdown, and then you have this whole disclosure thing going on the 25th.
Right. So that's another one of those things where it depends on what day you ask me during the week, what I think about it, right? Because I flip-flop on the alien question often. And aliens is actually the kind of one of the first things that got me into all this stuff. My father had told me when I was a kid, he told me about Behold a Pale Horse, William Cooper's book. And that set me down that rabbit hole, the alien rabbit hole. And so I think it's a possibility that aliens interfered with the human genome in our distant past. But I'm more prone to thinking about the evolution of civilization in terms of humans doing it on their own, and maybe accessing other dimensions. Maybe they're not extraterrestrials, maybe they're extra dimensional beings. Just because it would be so difficult to traverse the stars with physics as we understand it. So they would have to they would have to be able to bend reality in an extra dimensional way in the first place just to get here if they were from another star.
Right.
And also, I don't even entirely trust the scientific model about the universe in the first place. I've got my own questions, not that I think it's all fake or that we're living on a flat Earth per se. So the alien question is so fucked up to me. And I kind of see it like this. So, right, if something is on television, if something's in the media, if something is in the zeitgeist as being possible, I immediately don't trust it. So I see History Channel doing Ancient Aliens, and I go, I don't trust this shit anymore. I see disclosure coming out from the government, from the Pentagon, finally telling us what we're seeing with our eyes might be true, but we don't have all the evidence yet. I see that as highly suspect. So if they're pushing us down this route as aliens are from another planet, from another galaxy, from the other side of the universe, I immediately don't trust it because they're trying to push us into a direction that they want us to go in. So I might be more prone to think of aliens as extra dimensional, or I've also had the idea forwarded to me recently that they might be humans from the future. And I love time travel. I say it on my show all the time. I fucking love time travel. And that, you know what I'm saying? Time is that's a mess of fuckery. So
have you looked into the John Titor case at all?
No, what's that?
So John Titor was apparently a time traveler who made his way onto the internet somehow and left all this evidence behind, predicting such and such, and then, disappeared, as all time travelers do. But that's one of a couple different cases. I don't know that case enough to be like, reciting the whole details for it to be worthwhile. But I think, one thing that struck me was some of those old photography reels. They're like real glass reels, like old school photography. And there's guys with like goggles on and like odd things in their hands that look a little too advanced, which time travel. But considering, this more recent, I would say topic in this kind of field we're in, Tartaria, have you looked into that at all and how that might play into this whole scheme?
A smidgen, right? So everybody was talking about Tartaria in the past few months, like there's been books on it out for years, and I'm like, what the fuck is this Tartaria shit? Like I think I first heard it on Tinfoil Hat, and I started digging into it. So there's a couple of people I've been following. Andreas Zertis, is how you say his name?
Exodus, yeah.
Exodus, and I liked his the documentary that he put together, but I was frustrated with it in the same way that I was in how conspiracy videos used to be, that just kind of jump from thing to thing. But I appreciate the information and the content, and I wasn't able to extract from it the questions that I had. And Max Egan, whom I heard first on Expanding Reality, I tried going to his website, and there's no good way to navigate his website. So again, I wasn't able to get that questions answered that I wanted. And Brandon Thomas helped me out with a little bit of it. But if you've got the fucking cliff notes, can you give them to me?
Well, ask away. If you got any questions, I might do my best, because I've had Andreas on twice, and a couple other people. I think, someone I'm hoping to talk to soon is Michelle Gibson, because she's been making some waves in this area of research. But I was initially suspicious of it when I first heard about it from a friend who I was just teaching a bakery route back when I was the delivery driver, where, 4 a.m, I meet this guy and I'm like, hey, you listen to podcasts? And he's like, yeah, that sounds cool. And I'm like, well, how about tinfoil hat? And he's like, oh, really? And he starts looking through and he's like, oh, Max Egan, I know that guy. And I'm like, okay. So he starts telling me about Tartaria, and I became a little less suspicious of it. And really, I think it came out of nowhere. I don't know if that's because it was primarily in Russia for so many years, but yeah, I think I know maybe the 101 so far. If you have any questions, I mean, the basis of it is that there was some sort of catastrophe in North America that submerged existing structures under mud, which then hardened into earth, which was then dug up. And then these groups that are secret societies, take your pick, namely Freemasons, but I also think the Smithsonian Institute had a large degree of influence on this. I mean, with the mound building and all the evidence of how they would, basically pick apart these mounds and destroy evidence and hide evidence and throw it away in the basements of museums. But either way, the theory goes that these groups come in, find these buildings, repurpose them, and then rewrite the history of the buildings and say, like, well, we built it in classic Roman style with this guy. He came from Italy, and nobody knows who this architect was, but trust us, he's great. And he was able to move this kind of huge megalithic stone, just like Ed Lee Skillhand did for Coral Castle. Like they all know that secret magic art of moving huge stones without any sort of construction equipment. And that's the basis. When you start looking in the Graham Hancock stuff, that opens you up to be like, wow, okay, these megalithic structures are crazy. And I think the side effect of that has been people taking another more discriminatory look at the buildings in their town halls and the buildings in their local areas. And, just going through Connecticut, I'm sure you understand this being from Massachusetts, there's a lot of history just in people's backyards and even their town square, from stone monuments to different buildings that look, out of what it, but there's the origin of these places in our own backyards. And I mean, the American history is full of lies. I mean, everything that's happened to the indigenous people is very shameful and really terrible, horrible. But I think part of that whole lie is convincing us as modern day people of this country that the indigenous people here were just noble savages who had nothing to show for themselves and had no structures of their own and were barely hanging on. And then smallpox wiped them out because they were just so weak. It's like, really? I don't know if I buy that. How hard is it to take clay and turn it into a brick and then take a bunch of bricks and stack them into a building? I mean, European people aren't the only ones who could have figured that out. So that's where Tartaria becomes very interesting to me, because I'm like, oh, I've always loved Native American culture. I've always felt akin to their, teaching, that the whole, and I'm sure that makes me sound like some kind of cultural appropriator, but I'm not afraid of the social justice warriors. Come at me. I think if anything, our indigenous brothers and sisters want people to hear their stories and come to their aid and represent what's been lost already and maybe recover from that, the true value that they bring to our multicultural melting pot, as they call it. When really, I don't think it's ever been a melting pot. It's a pot full of hot magma that burned and destroyed everything as it settled to the bottom,
Yeah. And I lost you for like 30 seconds, but I think I got most of what you were saying. And so, all right. So I've read America Before by Graham Hancock, his most recent book. So how does that tie in with the mud flood stuff? Because I didn't see it mentioned anywhere in there. You know, most of his and he did a lot of stuff on South America, and so so the catastrophe was limited to just North America. Is that what you're saying?
The exact specifics, I can't tell you. My thought on bringing Graham Hancock into it was like him as a prominent figure in this type of media has inspired people to then go and look at other things. As far as the dating and the timing of the mud flood, I don't particularly have that information off the top of my head, but I will say Randall Carlson is another person who's looking into the more specific nature of what cataclysm happened here in North America. I don't know. I think, the best evidence I've heard on my show for ancient civilizations was from Brad Olson, who discussed how, the ocean is 400 feet further up the shore than it used to be. And considering how much of our civilizations are built along waterways and coastlines, it's like, yeah, no brainer. If there was a huge flood, I guarantee 40, 50, 60% of the structures at the very least, if not the people, would have been wiped out from a giant flood. And we have evidence of that. I think that's a part of Graham's research, but I haven't read his book, so I don't know it off the top of my head. But I think really the larger interest is like life is a mystery. And it's very obvious that there's certain groups that want us to not know that it's a mystery and just think that everything's solved and they've got all the answers figured out and no reason to question anything. Just become a dentist and clean teeth and you'll have a Corvette and you'll have a nice house and don't question anything, and I think that's part of why Tartaria is so interesting, because it's kind of like this punk rock look at architecture and history. Like, no, you're lying to us. So we're going to say that it's this. And maybe what people are theorizing right now is too fantastical. Like, some Tartarian researchers who don't need to be named are saying that everything's a melted building, like everything from mountains to trees, everything's like a melted building, or whatever. Maybe I'm hyperbolizing, but either way, like it does get out there. I think conspiracy theory does do that. I mean, I'm not going to co-sign every conspiracy theory. Certainly can't co-sign every Tartaria theory, but I think the bottom line is like North America and the history of this place is so much more advanced or detailed than we're told. And one example I can give, what I've seen with my own eyes, is in Pennsylvania. I took a trip down there. My friend Michael Wan was like, hey, there's a channel cut out of stone. He's like, I don't know what it is, but it looks weird. It looks man-made, So I go there myself. He tells me where it is. I go there with my girlfriend and we look at it and we're like, wow, this is not natural. Like, you don't see zigzags cut into a flat stone right where water's running through it. I mean, it's almost like made to be a little channel. And like, that's just one out of place example. But if you really consider that, like, the eastern coast of the United States is really old land, they say like this side of the Appalachian Mountains is older than the western side of it. It's like maybe those Aztec cultures, we find their hieroglyphics as far as like Georgia and even Pennsylvania, maybe all of these cultures that we once thought were like, individual tribes were kind of like the United States is now. It's, loosely associated states all following a kind of ethos. That's allegedly where we get the idea for that was from indigenous people, the Federation, So that's kind of a long-winded answer, but that's why I'm interested in Tartaria. I cannot by any means claim to be like, yeah, it's true and this is why, but I'm like so fascinated to be able to look at history with a new lens, because for so long it was written by one group, the empirical force that is parasitic, and it's created the pharmaceutical industry. It's created the indoctrination school industry. It's I don't want to say created capitalism, because I think capitalism is sort of more of a physics of an economy. It's not like a created thing, but at the same time, there are winners and losers in the current paradigm, and monopolies are allowed to exist in a way that's not organically capital. So although I don't dislike capitalism, I dislike the way capitalism is being used today. And I think that has a extrapolating effect on history. We need to examine history with that same amount of discernment and criticism and suspicion.
100%, 100%. And I think really like Graham Hancock's book, America Before, really elucidates your point that there was something else here, and it's been here longer than they say. The Smithsonian's covering it up, same way they're covering up giants, you know. And there's a ton of evidence all up and down North and South America that humans were far more advanced than we give them credit for, long before they were even supposed to be. You know, you can't build a fucking pyramid with stone tools. And there was another point you had made in there I wanted to touch on, and that is that, like, so there's this elite, the empiricists, that really try to keep that narrative intact. Although you've got these geniuses, these rogues, these curious people that just keep poking holes in the narrative. And it's so crazy that people have a hard time understanding this, because even just look at the way that science works. You know, you figure out new shit all the time. It blows up the previous paradigm. You know, they find a new link between apes and humans every other fucking year. And they're like, oh, well, it's Homo sapiens and I don't fucking know the scientific names for them. But, and to be able to see that play out, and to, at the same time, disregard the fact that what we know about everything now is not the final word. In every field, in every human endeavor of knowledge, that you can't see that. It's crazy to me. And people will defend that for all types of different psychological reasons, denial and Stockholm syndrome, and, you know, there's plenty of other names for it. But really, it all boils down to laziness. There's an intellectual laziness that is breeded by the school system, that it stamps out curiosity, and it promotes conformity, which is really just piggybacking off of that human instinct for conformity, because that's how you survived for such a long time. You know, so it's just in there. It's in the DNA. It's in the subconscious. It's there in the, you know, the evolution of humans. And so these people, these empiricists, they know psychology far better than they either let on or people give them credit for. And they exploit that in every way possible to keep themselves on top, to make sure that the hierarchy is kept intact, which is also another natural thing. Hierarchies are a natural thing. I think Jordan Peterson puts it the best way on this subject. But you also find hierarchies within organisms. There's a hierarchy of our organs. There's a hierarchy of jellyfish. You know, there's a hierarchy in nature, in the entire animal kingdom. So hierarchies are natural. So if you have simultaneously the knowledge of psychology to the level that they do, and you also have been at it for a long time, and you understand that hierarchies are natural, you're able to exploit all those things for your benefit to keep yourself at the top of the hierarchy at all costs.
Now, here's my question, especially in light of the Sophia episode, which I know was a couple episodes back. So, folks, go back and listen to that episode that Jay did, because that was a great episode. Why? You know, they already have such control over us. Why do they need to also write our DNA and program us into these homunculus, you know, android cyborg beings? I mean, I see it happening with the different, you know, medical industry malpractices that they've made normal, making us weaker and dumber and more dependent on them. But it's like, yeah, why go to that level if it's working? And I think if we were to turn in and ask me, I'll give you a chance to answer it. But my thought is kind of like what you said before about us being in an energy realm here, some sort of, you know, this is energy first, you know, those weren't your words exactly, but I felt like that's kind of what we were in concert thinking. Like, the energy first, right? So why, if we're these energy beings, rewriting our DNA must be something that's gonna happen, or that they're expecting, or that they've researched, that they know they can't use the old tactics anymore. They got to change the playbook.
Yeah, I think it's spiritual. It's got to be something spiritual. It's got to be whatever entities they're connected to, extra dimensional. It's just, it's just me spitballing. It's also a survival mechanism, because if anybody figured out what the fuck they've been up to for all these centuries, we would just wipe out all their families. You know what I mean? Like, they would be extracted from the gene pool immediately, unless they could get down to the underground bunkers, which they would do, and just nuke the earth. Start over. And yeah, I mean, that's really the only reasoning I can come up with, is that it's spiritual. It's something that extends past our understanding of time and space. There's got to be, or maybe they're blackmailed by other entities that they've been working with. Maybe they've been put in a situation where, I mean, this is getting crazy, but where they have no choice but to comply, right? Maybe like, if there's a hell, or the extra dimensional equivalent of hell, if they don't do what is asked of them, maybe they go there. I don't know, maybe if like extraterrestrial aliens are a thing, maybe they've been in touch with the top of the hierarchy throughout human civilization. Yeah. And they give them everything, and they only ask one thing: blood. We want fucking blood and negative energy, and it would go a long way as to answering the question that was like, well, why have governments been slaughtering civilians for thousands and thousands of years? Why is that a fucking thing? And how are you able to convince people that going and slaughtering the next tribe over is even a good idea? When if you were to just trade with them and allow them to live their life and live in harmony, why do you need empires? Why do you fucking need it? I mean, do you need the resources that badly that it costs less to drop bombs on people than to trade with them for their fucking lithium? Like, what the fuck? So
what if it was that way? And not to cut you off if you are wrapping up to a point, but what if it was that we were in hell in a way? Like, what we've been taught to understand as hell is like a side effect of us kind of being trapped in this material realm longer than we should. Like, we're just supposed to be here, and it's becoming a hell because of the way it's being managed.
Yeah, that's an Egyptian idea. Did you know that?
I'm sure that's probably where I got it from. I don't pretend to be some kind of, it flows through me, that's a big reason why I keep my books right behind me. Cause I honestly, people might've heard me say this. I think the books kind of flow through you when you start to collect. I see them, you got some behind you, but that's like the beauty of reading books too, is sometimes it's not like you're just regurgitating. It just like it imprints in you and comes through you, but that's a side point.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And it's hard keeping track of what you've learned from what book. And so, yeah, those are the books that I want to display. I've got another bookshelf down there. I got books all over there, and I've got the great books of the Western world, like 75% of that over there. My closet's full of books. I got another closet. My roommate's closet is filled with my books, and he's like, "Hey man, when are you going to get this shit out of here?" And I'm like, I'm doing my best. I got a bunch in the basement. Like, I got way too, I'm never going to read all this shit. But that's why it was illegal to be literate for that great chunk of European history, right? It's because you couldn't read the Bible. They kept that shit in Latin so that it couldn't be interpreted, so that they could. So really, like, knowledge is, and that's why we're seeing such crazy censorship right now on knowledge. And I'm still surprised that Instagram is although Instagram is kind of like starting to go the way of Facebook, but they're still letting some shit slide. But that's the name of the game, is like, if you want to control people, you have to be able to choke off the top of the funnel for knowledge, and you've got to be able to limit the access to information. We see the effects of that in the medical industrial complex right now, and because it's knowledge that really, well, like when you said, when it flows through you, that's what opens everything up here and allows you to see the big picture, as well as the little itty bitty details. That's, when someone writes their perspective, you're getting like you're getting a little window into their soul. Unless it's propaganda, then you're getting a window into their black heart. But it's really the way that, like, the written word is the most powerful thing on this entire earth. I mean, conversations are great, podcasts are great, but the written word is really, because it doesn't expire. I mean, the pages might fade over time, but they can last a long time. And it's just, that's the way that you're able to get enlightened. Some people are able to get enlightenment from conversation and meditation and things like that. But for me being like I'm intellectual first, spiritual second, emotional third, all that stuff. So like my intuition, my brain always blocks out my intuition. But to me, that's really how you're able to gain enlightenment is from absorbing as many different perspectives as you can, all the way from the big picture stuff to the itty bitty details and everything in between. And it's magical. It's really like, that's magic, and to be able to process things and to really like filter out the bullshit and to highlight you got to read it all. And that's why, like, the limitation to access to information that they're really hammering with now, that's why they're trying to make everything digital so that they do have that stranglehold on it. Because you can't burn books in the public square without looking like a Nazi.
Oh, and they can just shadow burn it, so to speak, and like, oh, sorry, no, mysteriously, no copies are available, or, oh, this file is missing, and whatever the excuse is. And then you got to go through a FAQ list or some support button and call a hotline with no human on the other end. It's like, you ever try to get in touch with PayPal, or, like, I've been dealing with that this week, and it's like, yeah, this is what happens when they remove the human hand from the situation and replace us with AI. And that's exactly why I thought Sophia Smallstrom and the conversation you had with her would be a good jumping off point, because it is such a thing looming in the distance right now, this transhumanist technocratic push. And I feel like, as a podcaster, you and I have this other angle where we're definitely using the Matrix against the Matrix, in a way. Like, people are becoming awakened through this process of, like you said, meditating, listening to this conversation, reading a book, all these different alternative ways. But when it's specifically podcasting, what are your thoughts on like the transcription of podcasts? Have you looked into that and all, and how easy it's becoming for them to turn, a conversation into text, and like what the implications of that for AI is? I mean, that's kind of been like, I don't know, a little inside baseball to podcasting, but it's been like a conspiracy theory I've been thinking about lately. Every time I publish an episode and I see that they want me to put the transcript with it, I'm like, no, we talked about the pandemic. Like, I don't want a transcript of that. That's just going to make it 10 times easier for them to know what we're talking about in this podcast.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that is probably something that's been going on for a long time. I've heard James Corbett bring it up, that YouTube, when they first started closed captioning, but auto closed captioning, separate from you importing your own closed caption, which so when he first started paying attention to it, the closed captioning was terrible and it almost never got the words right. Well, now they have it pretty much 100%. So I think, and of course, like when they rolled these technologies out to the public, they've had them for decades. So
right.
Who knows how long they've been auto transcribing telephone conversations. I mean, email and text is easy. We all know that. And here's what's fucking crazy. How the fuck does fucking Edward Snowden come out, release all that shit, whether shill or not? Who knows what the fuck is going on with him and Glenn Greenwald? Although what's gone on with Glenn Greenwald lately makes me believe that he's maybe the real deal. How the fuck does Edward Snowden release all this shit and the world just goes, whatever? It's like, dude, the enormity of it. Every text, email, phone call, conversation, transcribed, stored in, it can be accessed in real time. The phones on your camera can be accessed in real fucking time, and the world moves on. And the only thing anyone talks about is we need to get him back to America so he can face charges. Like, fuck off, dude. And then
Everybody's first thought is, well, I got nothing to hide.
I got nothing to hide.
What are you talking about? You got plenty of private information that you don't want getting hacked. I mean, do you trust every person at the DMV? Do you trust every person, at any of these government buildings that you deal with on a maybe monthly or yearly basis? It's like, those are just normal people like you and me. Like, NSA guy, he could be, looking in your cameras and uploading those on some Japanese website, like, who knows?
Yeah. And no, and first of all, you should never trust any government, period. That should be baseline. And everybody's got something to hide. I don't give a fuck who you are. Everybody's got something to hide. You know what I'm saying? On multiple different levels. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone's got skeletons, and to pretend like the apex of being a responsible human and someone that can lead people is that they're perfect, morally perfect. Nobody is. That's why I'm always astounded when a politician goes down because of some sexual deviancy or, oh my God, he does drugs. You're just like, shut the fuck up. So do you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you and your wife fucking bring a third person into the bed every couple of months. Like, fuck you. Who are you to judge this person? Although I think most politicians need to get their heads cut off right now anyway. But that's besides the point. And that you could be so indignant about their sexual misconduct and then not indignant about them dropping bombs on civilians in Afghanistan. That's fine. But you cannot be sleeping with another woman. That's fucked up, guy. And it's like, it's America. This is the most sexually decadent civilization since the fucking Babylonians, and we're gonna pretend like everybody's supposed to keep their dick in their pants. Like, fuck you. Not you, Mark, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, no. And it's like, and the fact that someone says I've got nothing to hide. Yes, you do. First of all. Second of all, why is that the baseline? Why is that like, how is your privacy not one of the most important things to you? Now, when we get off this call, I'm going to unplug the wire from my DSLR camera that goes into the USB port. I'm going to unplug my microphone. I'm going to shut off my computer. I'm going to shut the switch off, and I'm going to unplug the computer as well. That is how seriously I take my privacy in my room. Although I'm a hypocrite because I don't do that with my phone, which is even more problematic. But that's I mean, what else can you do? I could probably get one of those Sphero bags, but
shout out to Matt Landman.
Shout out to Matt Landman. Yeah. Well, I'm actually going to have on the podcast ASAP. But whenever I need to have a conversation, I don't think I want anyone listening to. I'll have the person I'm speaking with. We'll put our phones in the other room and converse away from that. Although you ever see Enemy of the State with Will Smith and Gene Hackman?
No, not much of a movie watcher.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's fine. So the whole point is that it's a movie about the NSA that, funnily enough, was funded. There has been intimations that it was funded by the CIA to bash the NSA. But it's basically Will Smith gets caught up in this whole thing because someone films a video of a senator having someone assassinated, and Will Smith gets the tape inadvertently, and then him and Gene Hackman is like an old NSA guy that has like a bunker and all this stuff. But the whole point that I brought this up was that, so the NSA, when they're trying to spy on Will Smith and Gene Hackman in real time, they actually use like they use something that can detect sound waves by the vibrations in a cup of water when they're in a room where they can't be listened to. They're in like a soundproof room. Or you know what? Maybe I'm thinking of Eagle Eye, whatever. But that can also be a possibility.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't
like
doubt
a
that.
million a million different ways of listening to people that don't.
Yeah, they have like a laser they point at a window and they can hear whatever's going on in that room.
Right.
But, with just the laser pointed, at a window. How that works, I'm not the guy to ask. But, dude, I'm almost at the point where it's like, yeah, maybe, it's better to create noise than to hide. You know what I mean? Like, you almost create so much that it's hard to see what's real and what's fake. Like, there's a program that I have on my computer that basically, if you were to like look at what my computer's doing, it looks like I'm Google searching puppies, cake, like all these random things at every second of the day. So you don't know if you're trying to see what I'm searching on my computer because it's just existing in a sea of just random searches. So, and I don't know I could probably pull up and find out what the program is for people so they can have it too. Here it is. It's called, hold on. It's called TMN. Shit. Oh, Track Me Not. Yeah, Track Me Not. Go to trackmenot.com. But trackmenot.com is cool because that's like one way, instead of like completely hiding my IP address, it just looks like there's a malfunction and then you don't even look here,
That's awesome. And then you throw a VPN on that and we're baby, you got a stew.
Exactly. And that's like, I know you got to go in a moment, but, that's like what Hotep Jesus was talking about when he was on Tinfoil Hat. He's like, hey, man, the Matrix is going to be, getting harder and harder and harder to resist, but we're going to resist it by beating them at their own game, creating technology, creating anti-drone software, creating, anti-tracking software. So there's all sorts of ways to get around it. And dude, this has been a great conversation. I mean, I know we want to do this as a Swapcast, so tell the listeners where they can find you and your show if they're listening from the My Family Thinks I'm Crazy podcast feed.
Yeah, so you can find me at www.howtokillasacredcow.com. That'll take you to all the places I have it up. It's not all the places, but you can find it there. Of course, I'm on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. And if anybody, the best way to get in touch with me on social media is at Henehan on Instagram. I'm working on getting the How to Kill a Sacred Cow Instagram up as well. But yeah, and same to you, Mark. Can you tell my listeners where they can find all of your stuff?
Right on. Henehan, dude. It's been a pleasure. You can find me at My Family Thinks I'm Crazy. Search that in any podcast app, and at My Family Thinks I'm Crazy on Instagram. That's where I'm most active, but we got a website, myfamilythinksimcrazy.com. You can find everything through there. But yeah, dude, we got to put a part 2 on this and come back and talk again soon. And you mentioned that you're doing a podcast with Andy from the Deep Share podcast. I just did one with him this week. So there's a coincidence right there, a little synchronicity. So we'll see if this comes out right after that on the feed. But either way, dude,
yeah,
it's been a pleasure.
And I just saw you had David Warner Matheson on your show. I haven't listened to that yet. I love that guy. I had him on my show last month. He's incredible.
David Matheson. Yeah, man. I should probably use his middle name when I put it in I just put W, but Warner, David Warner Matheson. That sounds so cool. But anyways,
yes.
Yeah, dude. Great talking to him. Great talking to you. And I'll let you go, man. We'll do this again soon.
A lot of fun, Mark. Great, man. I'd love to do it again.
Right on. All right, brother. Peace out.
All right. Oh, one question before you go.
Yeah.
Can I get your audio? Because you dropped out for like 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You could just email that me later. I'm not even going to be able to edit this till like Monday or Tuesday.
Oh, you know what? You know what happened? I hit record and then it said, please ask the host to give you permission, but we were already talking. So I just kind of kept it rolling without recording over here. So it looks like you're going to have to send it to me and then maybe I can listen to it and audio. I have Descript, so I can dub what I said. Yeah, I'll try to remember and just send you the file.
Okay. All right. I can do that.
You just share it with me over Google Drive to the same email.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Cool. I'll send it back to you as soon as I can.
All right. Sounds great. Awesome, Mark. Dude, thanks a lot. This was fucking awesome. We definitely got to do it again.
Let's do it. All right, bro. Peace.
Oh.
What? I'm back twice in one episode. That's right, because this is a 2-for-1 special. I decided to take the Swapcast that I did with my man Alex Stein and put it on the back end of this great conversation with Jay Henehan, which I hope you enjoyed. So we're just chilling over here, Big Dipper style. Thank you. Shout out to Sam Barsh for this awesome music. And yeah, Alex Stein. It's a little segue. Speaking of segues, Alex Stein was once on the show Barter Kings selling a Segway, believe it or not. Go look him up. He was also on a show called The Glass House. But you know him and you love him from the Conspiracy Castle, the conspiracy asshole. Alex Stein was so kind to join me for this Swapcast, and we didn't really take things too seriously because he's so worried about YouTube censorship. So, you know, and I respect it. I respect Alex. So we didn't get too far into the vaccine stuff, but we joked around a little bit. So hopefully you got a full dose from the conversation with Jay. And yeah, with that, on to the conversation with Alex. Enjoy and have a wonderful weekend in September 2021. Manifest your best, baby. Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Conspiracy Castle. I'm your conspiracy asshole, Primetime 99, Alex Stein, and we're in a cryptic, morbid mood tonight. Because life is fragile, you never know, and it'll be taken away from you. That's right, even me, even Primetime 99, Alex Stein is a mortal man. I might not seem it, I might not look it, I might not act like a mortal man. But I promise you, these bones will break just like yours. This skin will crack like Old Man in the Sea. I will have no choice. My hair will gray. My back will curl. But nothing will stop my grind. And nothing will ever stop my shine. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Conspiracy Castle and our lovely guest, Mark Sheesh from My Family Thinks I'm Crazy podcast. Ah, Mark, how are you doing, my friend? Dude, I'm having an emotional breakdown live on the air.
Yeah, I know. You're really pent up.
More than pent up, dude. They got me freaking in the Thunderdome, or what's that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger where they have to kill each other in that thing? Where they're all like modern day gladiators. What's it
Thunderdome?
called?
Oh, you mean Mad Max?
No, let's see. Arnold movie Thunderdome, I think is what it was.
Look at this, guys. Alex has already taken me into territory. He knows that I'm not. You know I don't watch any movies anymore, Alex. Come on, man. I'm trying to get off of that programming, dude.
Let me try to think. Arnold movie where they killed people in a Killed people live on TV. People in the chat are like, oh, they know. What movie is it? Let me see in the chat. They have to know what movie I'm talking about. The Arnold Schwarzenegger. Running Man! Thank you! Gosh, dang it. Running Man. Now I even forget the point. Well,
Really?
yes, I feel like I'm in that Running Man. You know, they're like in a fake world or whatever.
Hold on. Dude, all right. So this is crazy because Running Man, right? Running Man, Hunted Man. That's what that comes to mind because I never knew what that movie was about. I just thought it was like something to do with the song or like a mentally handicapped person, Rain Man. I probably got it confused with that movie. But Running Man, now that you say it in this context, it's reminding me of what I just heard a buddy of mine, friend Michael Wan, talk about on the Higher Side Chats and how they have all this human hunting symbolism in this movie. I'm sure you've talked about this before, but it's in the movie what's it fucking called?
The one just
Hunger
came
Games.
out. Oh, well,
Hunger
okay.
Games.
Yeah, I'm very
Right.
familiar with Hunger Games. Yeah,
Right,
keep going.
but all of these synchronicities that connect to the Hunger Games and connect to what's going on with Mr. Creepy, Sniffy Joe Biden and his whole
Don't
lot.
say that
where
about
he's-
Joe Biden's not creepy at all. He's one of the nicest guys. That's a fake news. He's never sniffed anybody. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm just Mark.
This
from
is a
New
pro
England.
Joe room. This is pro
Listen.
Joe. Vote blue no matter who, Mark. Don't come here if you're not pro Joe, man. You got to go if you're not pro Joe. Me and Corn Pop rock together, dog. And me and Joe is my bro. Deal with that. Now go ahead. That's your one mistake you're allowed to make. It's your one foul tip. Do not talk negatively about my Joe, bro.
Okay.
I love you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. You can shake stuff, but you just can't. Just don't talk bad about Joe. You can talk bad about Kamala. You can say her blouses aren't pretty. Don't say anything about Joe, man. He didn't deserve it. He doesn't even know where he's at half the time.
The Honorable Emperor of the United States, Captain Captain Joe Biden, President.
Please,
President Honorable Underpants Biden.
I'm asking you politely to show him respect. He's the president. Come on, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, really? He's the president, Alex?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is, and he's my president. I voted for him 6 different times, dude. He ought to be.
Wow, that explains a lot. Anyways,
All
what I
my
was
housekeepers
saying,
have passed away. We still went and voted, and there were mail-in ballots. So what? Who cares?
well,
They would have voted
know,
that way.
here in New England, okay, where we're real, okay, President Biden has nothing to do with that. He's from Arden, Delaware. Have you ever heard of Arden, Delaware?
No, I don't know. I know that people in Delaware talk funny though. They're like, they're locked. I can't. I don't know. It's hard to do it through.
Well, I'm definitely not the expert to talk to. I know Jay Parker is, but there's a lot of SRA going on in
Satanic
Arden,
ritualistic
Delaware.
abuse. Wait, what?
Yes. And the church that Joe Biden goes to is a very strange church, and I encourage everybody to check out the Higher Side Chats with Michael Wan for the whole scoop, because I'm just paraphrasing. I'm just the parrot. He's a buddy of mine, but I did want to talk about on this show some more relevant stuff.
Well, Joe,
because-
real quick, I want to say, Joe is pro-abortion, which is awesome because I've had like 20 abortions, so I'm real pro-abortion
Right.
myself.
Well, you
No,
had
but-
that whole kerfuffle at the Planned Parenthood.
I have a
here.
lot of kerfuffles at Planned Parenthood, so let's not even narrow it down to that one. Honestly, I don't even want to pinpoint the other ones. I don't want to start rating kerfuffles, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's a
but-
lot of funny duddy going on there.
Don't make fun of my vocabulary as well, because it can be a form of abuse. That can be friend abuse.
Oh.
Okay. I talk funny. I talk from Texas. I have a little bit of a Texas twang. I say fuddy duddy.
That's fine. I
I
have
say
a little bit
zippity
of a
doo
New
dah
England.
day. I say zap to. I don't know what I say. I say I don't know what the hell. I don't even know what I'm saying half the time I'm saying it, dude. Okay?
Hey, Alex, you don't have to say anything. I'm from New England. We got a little like double middle finger kind of attitude about a lot of the things. That's how we come off. Shout out to King. He probably bore the brunt of some of that on previous Conspiracy Castle episodes. But yeah, I get it. People see and hear my attitude and my accent, and they're like, whoa, this guy's angry. This guy's aggressive. I was trying to get an application for an apartment the other day, and they were giving us a hard time about a mask. And I'm like, there's no law in the state of Connecticut that says I need to wear a mask in this business. And they're like, well, it's our business's rule that you have to wear a mask. And I'm like, well, you're discriminating against me based on my protected rights and my body. So we can get into that a
And
little bit.
and people don't realize watching the show, Mark is 6'8". He was a captain of his wrestling team. So he's tall, he's kind of intimidating. He looks kind of, just like a thin, normal sized guy, but he's actually much larger than a normal man. He's like a man and a half. So I can see where that might be intimidating if you don't have the mask as well, though, because, you just tower over.
In this modern age, I think one tool that everybody has, despite, my martial arts training, which I would never use in a situation like that unless somebody touched me first. But, having your phone on you, which has a camera, and putting the camera in between you and somebody. I mean, it might be a little weird at first. But
I do it all the time. Yeah.
What the effect it has on certain people. And, that's a powerful thing, because I notice with the way people from New England are, they're very private. They don't like being put on blast like that. And if people are going to assert themselves on you, I'm starting to see like, oh shit, maybe if I put the camera in front of them and show them like, oh, hey, you want to do something? Well, guess what? I'm not the only person who's going to see it potentially,
Yeah, and the flip side to that, though, I just watched a video of this girl. She's like, they're trying to arrest her because she got called for not having a mask, and she was pretending to cough on people. And she started to do it as soon as they whipped out the phone. So there's that other reaction too, where people start acting right when they see the camera, and the other people that they see the camera and they get pissed off and they try to hit it, or it triggers them. So it's weird how that camera, it can be a double-edged sword. It can calm them down.
You definitely don't want to
cut yourself.
Yeah, I wouldn't advocate for it if you don't feel confident in, the volatility of the situation. But I would say in some situations like the one I was in, where you're feeling like you're being discriminated against and you're in a place of business, I think recording it is part of your best weapon against these businesses that are going to start to discriminate. I mean, my girlfriend and I got thrown out of a grocery store. And again, not mandated in the state of Connecticut.
Listen to this. They don't let me use the female restroom. I go to Trader Joe's. I try to use the female restroom. They don't let me do that. Starbucks. They don't let me do that. McDonald's. They said that I'm not transitioned enough. And I'm like, dude, are you kidding? Quit trying to tell me what level of transitioning. If I want to poop in the women's restroom, it's nicer, it smells better. It's just ridiculous. Mark, just think about that, dude. I can't even poop in a women's McDonald's restroom. It's disgusting, the world we live in today. And I'm transitioning. I'm in the transitional stage. How much more transitional can I be? If you know what I mean?
All right. Well, not that I don't trust you, but I definitely think most people would agree that you, as a 6 foot something Nephilim, should not be going in a women's restroom.
Have you ever pooped in a women's restroom? Have you ever defecated in a woman's utility bathroom, whatever you want to call it, whatever the nice poop room?
I think because of certain maintenance issues going on in whatever facility I happen to be in, I might have once or twice, but
you don't remember? You don't remember how much better it was?
I think
the seats are different. The graffiti is less graphic. There's less anti-Semitism in it. There's
kind of graffiti is in a girl's bathroom.
Nice stuff, pretty stuff, butterflies, girls' phone numbers, just a lot of just different stuff. Guys dressed in glory holes, and next thing you know, I'm pooping. A guy staring at me with his cell phone camera through the hole, asking me to poke it through. And I'm saying I don't like that. I'd rather just go in the women's restroom and just relax, man. Let my hair down, as they say.
You've been doing this a lot. You've always been kind of an investigative guy, then.
I've always used the women's restroom since my transition, but I've been I was born a female, so I'm just stuck in a man's body. It's not easy.
I respect it,
yeah.
Alex. I respect it.
It's a confusing deal. I'll tell you that much.
Well, what am I interviewing you now on the experience of being a Nephilim, admitted Nephilim? You like your ass getting eaten. A whole crowd of people in Dallas heard that.
Yeah, what the heck? Why are you bringing that up? We can't talk about stuff like that.
Is that part of your transition as well? This kind of free sexuality?
No, it's not. That's not part of it. I'm just an attention. I need attention-seeking issues, and I'm using sexual things because it's edgy. I'm being too edgy. You know that, Mark. I'm Primetime 99. I'm an edgelord. I gotta rein it in a little bit. But apparently, I think I've lost. I think I've lost control. I think I am now full edgelord level.
Yeah, well, yeah, I believe it. You got a cake. That cake in that picture you sent me.
Don't say that. Don't say that. COVID is real. You can't say that. You can't say that on YouTube. COVID is real.
Where'd you get that cake from?
I made that. I wrote that myself on that with icing. With icing.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. Just wait. Don't talk about that picture. We'll talk about that later. Good. And the COVID is real. It's the most real thing ever.
Well, all right. So I'll talk about something if we want to go into a different tangent. But I'm happy to just keep messing with you.
No. What do you want to talk about? What is 6'8" and you're a Nephilim? What the hell do you want to talk about?
No. What, are you jealous? Because
I am a little jealous. If I was 6'8", I'd be probably in the NFL as an offensive tackle. Oh, Philip LaMonica, primetime. Head to San Antonio sometime. Keep up the good work. Mark, I'm following you on Rockfin. Awesome. Thank you so much, my man, Philip LaMonica. I like that name, LaMonica. What's up, dog? Philly LaMonica. Shout out. Okay, no. Well, we're just talking about how I transitioned, so that's why I can poop at the female restroom at McDonald's. Right. Now, what did that have to do with people restricting you? Because I feel restricted, so you feel restricted. That's what we were talking about.
Well, yeah, I've been restricted as fuck, and I think it's because of school getting back in session. I mean, there's no coincidence there. I just, I'm not in school. I don't have kids, so I'm not in that cycle. But I think because it's September and because school's getting back in session and, normal people are getting back to their normal lives, no offense to most people, but I've made the decision to not go that route. And it's for better, I feel. But either way, my point being, I've noticed
99 people watching. Go ahead.
As free as it was for the past few months, it felt like, oh, cool. Nobody's telling me to wear a mask anymore. This is great. Now it's starting to get rain.
Everybody's got the mask. Dude, it's funny you say that. I was talking about that. I was at the grocery store. And I was looking around. I was like, man, everybody has a mask on. I mean, there was I think I saw one other woman. And usually the one other person that doesn't have a mask is because they're 300 pounds or something. They really can't wear a mask. They really have issues with the mask. I noticed that. I swear. If you look at the grocery
That's not the case. That's not the case where I live.
Well, see, where I live, I go to the Walmart. I'm terrible. I buy the cat food. I go to the Walmart. I go to the Tom Thumb. But the Walmart especially, you can go to any Walmart. But I go to one that's a pretty busy one on Lemon Avenue. And I'm telling you, all you got to do is walk through the frozen food section. All you got to do is walk through the freaking candy aisle, chip aisle. You're going to see fat people. You're going to see people in the automated and the electric carts. You're going to see that, dude. And those people, a lot of the times when you're in the electric cart, I want people to start noticing. If you're at the grocery store, mark my words, and notice people that are in the cart. Sometimes it'll be an elderly person. They'll have a mask on for sure. But if it's a person and they're over 300 pounds, they won't have a mask on. They won't have one on because they're just so gross. They don't want to. The masks get nasty. These people got food in their mouth. You know what I mean? They're always eating food. I swear. They're always eating food, so they have food in their teeth. So the mask, they have to be able to eject that food because their butthole is violently shitting food and their mouth is the reverse. I swear.
You know what I thought of today? Wow. Or not today, but in the past few days. How sick it's gonna get. They're gonna invent some kind of gross food that you eat through your mask. You know what I mean? New movie theater, a popcorn bag that fits onto your mask. It's and we're just gonna be sitting there with big bags of food attached to our face, man. I think it's gonna get to that point in certain places, but I don't want to get into big hyperbole.
Yeah, but no, the masks
about what could or couldn't be.
The masks are here to stay, though. People are just gonna have personal freedom. They're just gonna decide not to wear it, but people are gonna always. I deal with I don't know why I've dated multiple girls like this, but they always have a blankie or something, and they're 26 and they sell some blanket from when they're a kid. Basically, the mask is now their blankie. And I'm not talking about girls. I'm talking about everybody in general. It's their safety net. They don't have to put on their makeup, or they don't have to, brush their teeth. They don't have to be themselves. They can hide. They can be the man in the iron mask, like Leonardo DiCaprio. And like myself, I'm the man in the iron mask, the metaphorical iron mask, because I'm always here. I'm the sad, tragic clown trying to entertain people. And I put my life on the line every day. So I want you guys to know if you hear anything in the news, just I put my life on the line every day for you. So go ahead, Mark.
No, I do my best to stay sane because it is frustrating, and sometimes I'm just like ready to be like, all right, I'm fighting somebody over this mask thing because
I'm done. I'm
I
done fighting
noticed-
people. I'm done
no,
fighting
no,
people.
I notice like people will like look at me without the mask from their little mask, like with like mean eyes, like to intimidate me because I'm not wearing a mask, and I'm always just like give them a look like fuck you, I don't care, like. And I think that's the attitude that most people need to have, and peaceful resistance is what I would recommend. But I did have some really awesome experiences over this past pandemic, that despite everything that's been said, I haven't been sick once.
Would you have not
I'll
had
knock
those
on wood.
experiences, I guess? Would we not have these experiences if the world is still going and people had to work and stuff? Like, I honestly do believe that. There's a lot of good things that came out of the pandemic or whatever. Like, people got to be with their families, this and that. But there's more fucked up shit that came out of it. I personally believe there's more, like, the world is not a better place for it. The world is
yet it's probably like selfish of me to say that because it is.
Well, a lot of
like,
people are doing well, but that's not necessarily. I just feel like, I guess there is a way, because I think to myself, that's when I started my show. I'm actually in a way sadistically grateful for what's going on in the world because it's giving me the time and energy where I can focus on doing a show and creating content, and the audience is more. The people are done with the mainstream media. I mean, some people watch it, but people like watching YouTube. Like, as a content creator, there's not a better time than now to create content because the legacy media is crumbling in front of our eyes. I mean, slowly but surely, in the next 10 years, I have no idea what CNN is going to look like in 10 years. I mean, I have no idea what the world's going to look like in 10 years, but I just have I just can't imagine CNN, even the modern day one, in 10 years being anything recognizable to itself.
Well, let me say this, Alex, because I think, yes, absolutely. I think there's so many opportunities. Every moment in life is many different things. We can't ever look at something from one dimension. There's so many different ways to interpret a tragedy or a great celebration. There's all sorts of shades of events. And I think what's happened to me from my perspective, I said, yeah, maybe it's a little selfish for me to color it that way because it's just what's happened to me. I mean, it's not been easy, but I've had a fantastic opportunity that came to me because of a lot of different factors that I've culminated over my life. But it was this event that opened up that doorway for something to happen where Sam, got put in the position to need a guy like me. And then I was in the position already to know Sam for that opportunity to come. And then, Sam goes, hey, you need to make your own podcast. Like, what's going on with your show? And I'm like, you know what? Fuck, you're right. And because of the whole COVID thing, I was like, fuck this job I have now. Sam Tripoli wants to hire me. I'm quitting Amazon, and I fucking quit Amazon and I started My Family Thinks I'm Crazy. And I started working for Sam and whatever other opportunity came for me, like working with you, and I love working with you. You're one of my friends. I consider you a good friend, just
Same.
from,
You are a good
the
friend of mine.
podcasting thing, and like a lot of the friends that I had before the pandemic, they're not the same people that I thought they were, or maybe that they were beforehand. So it's a blessing in disguise, although I've lost some friends, I've made a lot of really great new friends who see things the same way I do and differently in a lot of ways too, which I'm grateful for because I don't ever want to be in an echo chamber. I don't think like-minded is necessarily a good thing, but either way, one experience, if you were closer, I would probably do the same for you, but I drove out to see my buddy Michael Wan because I happened to be going through his state and I had him on my show and he was, like, hey, yeah, come by, if you're ever in the area, stop by. So I was like, well, of course, I'll take you up on that. And I did. And dude, I'll tell you what, man, like there's something magical about the Susquehanna River because, this is a guy, Michael Wan, Susquehanna Alchemy. People can go look up his YouTube channel, look up his podcast.
What does this guy do? I don't know this guy, Michael Yon. He sounds like a freak. Yawn. What is? I don't even know what that means. He yawn. It makes me. Is he slow? Is he tired? It makes me want to yawn. I want Michael
Alex,
freak
Alex.
out.
This is you. You heard yawn. I didn't say that. Slow down. You're yawning.
I'm tired. I got a lot on my plate, man. I'm
No,
trying to do
yeah,
a
no,
lot, Mark.
No, I'll slow down. This is relevant because I do want to have him on this show. I think you'd love to talk to him because he is, even though it sounds like rivers, like what do rivers have to do with conspiracy theories? Well, dude, a lot, and you'll see. But either way, his name is Michael Wan, like the word wand, like a magic wand, but with
like a wand.
2 N's instead of a D.
Or
right?
a female
So wand.
vibrator is called a wand as well. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, exactly. So Michael Wan, and he is just like a really cool guy. You know, that's all. He's, you know, I don't want to talk him up like he's some mystical figure.
It sounds like
just
he
an
is.
average-
It sounds like you are talking him up. What's his deal? I don't like this guy already, though. I already
Wow.
kind of don't like this guy.
All right. Well, maybe then. Maybe. All right. I'm gonna.
Is he a
put my-
cage fighter? Does he know martial arts? People were talking about Eddie Bravo in the chat. Somebody said Eddie Bravo is a shape-shifting lizard. And I met Eddie Bravo, and I have to agree. He's 100% shape-shifting lizard. He's Illuminati blood for sure.
No, if you guys want to hear or talk about martial arts, I can talk about martial arts. But I was thinking we could talk about conspiracy theories and how some people use the mystical sort of knowledge to connect the dots in ways that maybe the traditional conspiracy theorists might not. And he's one of these guys. I don't, like I said, he's an average dude. I don't want to talk him up like, oh, he's some kind of hermit in the woods. But he's very interesting and generous and kind with his friendship with me and sharing the knowledge that he has, and also introducing me to another guy who wrote this book, The Great Mystery Philadelphia, and Ross Ben. And the reason why I want to bring all this up is because I think it's so interesting to understand.
Shay TK with the $10 donation. I love you, Shay TK. Okay, wait, what is this book? I've only read books, like I only read I don't read. No, I don't read. You know, I only read like 6th grade level.
Well,
What's this book all about?
You'll like Michael Wan's book. It's probably 30 pages. Okay.
And there's nudity in it. There's a lot of nudity in it.
So much, dude.
Okay.
Every page. So you'll love it. And it's called The Rites of the 40th Parallel. People can go to susquehannaalchemy.com to check that out. But either way, this other book, Mike's friend, Ross Ben, another super interesting guy, researching these conspiracy theories with a mystical angle. And, you know, I'm somebody who's always had that kind of mystical angle, you know, thanks to cannabis, thanks to martial arts. And, you know, I've always been very interested in conspiracy theories. But I think what's really interested and fascinated me is the relationship between the indigenous people of America, the Native Americans, and the founding of this United States government, and everything that went into that. And what I'm learning about William Penn and the mystery that is Philadelphia and how they started this America experiment here. I mean, dude, have you ever heard of the Rosicrucians?
No, tell me all about the Rosicrucians. You were telling me about this the other day. What is this shit?
So the Brothers of the Rosy Cross, right? And some people like Recluse, aka Steven Snyder, will tell you that all the Rosicrucians didn't exist. They were just a LARP. You know, I heard him saying that. And that got me interested because I have books about the Rosicrucians, and I've always been really fascinated with the Rosicrucians. And I know smart guys like Michael Wan and Ross Ben who study these things and talk about the Rosicrucians. So I'm like, hold up. Now there's this guy named Steven Snyder who used to go by the name Recluse, okay, which is odd. And now he's saying that the Rosicrucians were a LARP. So that got me like super fascinated into looking into all this stuff. That's a side note, a tangent, and I'd love to get in touch with him. Maybe we can all have a conversation on this show once you know a little bit more about it. But the Rosicrucians are a group that go all the way back to Europe. They're potentially tied to the royal bloodlines, the royal families, and they're definitely tied in to the founding of the United States. And I think that they are like the secret group behind the Freemasons.
Okay, here.
Right?
I want to watch this. I want to share this with everything. This is a Freemason video that was just recently on InfoWars. Hold on, let me do this screen share. so you can see it. Here, this is it. Let me see. Can you see me? Where's the? There I am. Okay, watch this video. Ready? Watch this. Let me turn this up. What? Oh, come on, audio. Why is it not?
What we face comes out of the French Revolution and Adam Weishaupt and a group of professors from universities across Europe and England, Scotland, and Ireland. They wanted to overthrow the church, and they wanted to overthrow the nobility, and in its place, replace themselves in those positions. And their writings are public. George Washington actually confronted them and blocked them. We launched our own revolution. There's more than 16 or 17 letters from the president on that. This is all real history. The public thinks it's something in movies or, something in just fiction books. And so out of the Jacobins and the French Revolution, that was just a mass psychosis, kind of like the witch hunts that happened in Switzerland and Salem, Massachusetts, here in the United States, that killed tens of thousands of innocent women. They sought to bring in their own hysteria, and they wanted a 9-day work week. They wanted to get rid of Christianity. It was a satanic religion.
Look at this 9-day work week. I haven't heard that one yet. All Freemasonry should be disbanded in America because our organization has been infiltrated by the Illuminati and they have bad intention for America and the world. Okay, let's keep reading this. This is supposed to be a real quote. It kind of says a lot. Roosevelt said, George Washington was supposedly a 33rd degree Mason. So I don't know what's real and what's not, but let's watch the whole
work week. They wanted to get rid of Christianity. It was a satanic religion. Yeah, there's George Washington. All Freemasonry should be disbanded in America because our organization has been infiltrated by the Illuminati and they have bad intention for America and the world. That's in his letters to the National Archive. That's not fake. So you debate whether Masons are good or not. Or, Jones is secretly a Mason. He said he had family that were Masons. What does it even mean? You judge a tree by its fruits. I'm a Christian that loves God. And I have a relationship with God, and I believe in life. But you've always got the Pharisees that are always claiming this person is not pure, that person is not pure. Well, I just asked those Pharisees, what are you doing to fight evil? But moving on. Oh, George Washington wasn't good. He was a Mason. Yeah, well, so was King Solomon. What does it even mean? Masons were the secret colleges. You didn't just let anybody go to college back then. So it was the mystery schools of mathematics and science and astronomy. And yes, it had lots of different ancient secrets of occult groups in it as well. The secrets of Greece and Egypt and Babylon, all of that. But yeah, by the time of George Washington's time, the Satanists had taken over most of the Masonic lodges around the world, according to George Washington.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it kind of sounds like, what do you think? It sounds like he likes Freemasonry and might be a Freemason, if you're asking me.
Well, and he almost kind of said a similar thing to what I'm going to say, but I honestly don't know how much I trust AJ. I mean, shout out to the dude on Apple who commented on my podcast and was like, oh, how come you haven't called out Alex Jones yet on your podcast? I'm like, dude, because my show's about the guests I have on. I'm like, if a guest wants to talk about that, then they're going to talk about that. It's not up to me. But either way, I'm glad I have the opportunity now to maybe clear that up if that person is listening. But I generally think, for the most part, even though he seems to be a really nice guy, in any experience that people I know have had with him, I just don't, trust anybody who's that big. And I don't know anything about him to make a decision. But here's the thing. I don't also find much interest in people like him anyways. A lot of my research comes from reading these books and people who share that fascination with history and some of these subjects. Alex Jones, he's just a little too hyperbolic, fast, and loud for me and my taste. So, that being said, I would say, my point is kind of in concert with his point. There's a group within a group, right? Because everybody points their finger at the Freemasons, but I think that's to this secret group's
advantage because they have this kind of buffer where people are like, well, that can't be true because my friend John's a Freemason and he's a nice guy. And it's like, well, yeah, no shit, because John's not involved in the SRA bullshit, because John's just an idiot who's in the Freemasons, you know, and maybe he's a nice guy and he's a good part of his community. And that's why they set it up that way, so they can have that shield. Right?
Yeah, like
so that
all
they
the
can,
lodge members aren't bad. It's all, you know, they're all, you
well,
know,
and but it's a recruiting process. It's a refinement process. They're able to get a group of people who are influential and find the bad eggs amongst them and bring them into that secret group of bad eggs who are all going to commit conspiracies together. I mean, that's what the term conspiracy means. And here we are in the conspiracy castle talking about this stuff, my man. And I'm going to point it out right now to everybody listening and say, like, I'm not going to go and say, oh, it's the Rosicrucians, they're the only ones, it's just them, they're the Illuminati. But, you know, we need to understand these things from a vocabulary of like all of the different players and who they are and what they've done, to see the full picture and not be so single-minded to like find one group and be like, well, that's them, you know. It's like, as much as I've learned about the Rosicrucians, I'm like, still, I don't know what they've done. I think that's to their advantage, that the whole nature of their secrecy. But if enough of us work on this together to investigate it, we can pull up all of the pieces of the puzzle and get that whole picture that one person might have taken a whole lifetime to do, and actually maybe risk their lives, because a lot of this stuff before the internet went that way. It would be one person who's immediate, you know, friends and family, you know, hence the name of my podcast, My Family Thinks I'm Crazy. You know, when you get into this stuff with some kind of passion, that generally the people around you think you're crazy. So that provides for more introversion, more inwardness, and then you have this magnum opus, this final completed work, and you present it to the world, and it's so dangerous to the world that they, you know, kill you right away. But now in an internet, we have this ability to crowdsource this information and do research among like minds, you know, and different minds too, like you and I. We don't always see eye to eye on all the ways to look at the world and conspiracies, but we're still able to have many great conversations. And I think that's what's so cool about this new movement, and why people aren't listening to the average media anymore, and they're coming to the alternative space here to listen to the Conspiracy Castle each week and other great shows. But here's the thing, you know, that doesn't limit you. Don't just take what I'm saying, like, oh, well, they didn't talk about it on the Conspiracy Castle, so I don't know. Like, go out and get some books of your own, because I'm totally a proponent. I mean, I'll pull this camera out and show you guys how many books I have in this room here, because I think like this is where the information is. And if we can preserve this, you know, before they can burn all the books and convert them to ebooks that they can just delete with the press of one button, you know, then we're more equipped. You know, we have all this knowledge that, you know, like a weapon that we're protected to have with the Second Amendment, you know, you can have that in your home and nobody knows about it. And that's to your advantage. Well, I feel the same way about books. You know, these things are like weapons of knowledge. And the more books you have, the more research you do, the more able you're to present this truth, whatever your truth is, whether it's, you know, about the malpractice that's going on in the world and what they're trying to do with the My Body, My Choice.
Listen,
movement.
You've been talking for a while. Books are annoying. Everybody knows that. And if you read books, you're a nerd. Even though
but here's the thing, you know, you can take your time with books, because a lot of people put pressure on themselves, like, I'm a bad reader, oh, I can't read. It's like, yeah, no shit, like you're just trying too hard. Just fucking give yourself a fucking break. Stop reading after one page, and then come back an hour later and try again. And just
if you can
that.
only
It's
read
like,
one page, then you're an idiot. You shouldn't even try reading. You need to go start digging ditches. Honestly, if you can only read one page,
so then you have no excuse, Alex. You should be reading
I'm
too.
a master reader. I can read a book in 2 minutes. I can just look at a book and read it by its cover. I'm the #1 cover reader in America.
I get it. You don't. This is turning into the My Family Thinks I'm Crazy woo-woo hour. And
no, but listen, let me tell you. No, but listen. I was just saying. I was at the grocery store. Everybody's wearing masks. I'm not here to try to wake anybody up anymore. I thought I was going to help, but I figured out, like, this is my goal for 2022. Is I would like to do an investigation, and we got to get the truth community together, and we got to see, like, Like Dallas to Florida is like 1,600 miles. Dallas to California is like 1,400 miles. We need to find subways along the way and see if their footlong sandwiches are actually a foot long, and lay individual Subway sandwiches down it would be Subway sandwiches across America. And what it would do is it would feed everybody, and then everybody would subs across America, and we'd have subs from Tampa Bay to Los Angeles. And what it would do is it would be to denounce Jared Fogle for all of his molestation and all the bad things he did to those children. So we're going to have the subs across America, and that's the only way to unite people. We're going to give you free sandwiches and free vaccines, but free sandwiches too. You get tuna. You can do. We're not honestly, guys, because we're going to be doing the subs across America. You're not going to be able to get it toasted, more than likely, unless you happen to be your track of sub that you're participating in happens to be that close to an actual Subway. But a lot of this is going to be mobile Subway sandwiches. And what this is going to do, Mark, this is going to bring people together. It's going to bring white people, black people, Asian people. Everybody wants a free footlong. And then this is the thing. Then if it doesn't match up, we got Subway dead to rights that their sandwiches are too short. The conspiracy theorist Alex Stein becomes so famous. I reveal Subway's been lying the whole time. Subway feels bad. Free subs forever. Government subsidized subs. Get your sub, get your vaccine. Free subs for life.
Subsidized.
God honest truth. America should have it in every major city and small cities. There should be, you know how they have a homeless kitchen, but we should have like subsidized restaurants like a Subway or like a McDonald's, like a fucking, you know what I mean? Like a place like that anybody should be able to go to for free. I know that sounds like literal socialism, but we just have so much bloated money and waste. When I look at Afghanistan, I look at like all those Black Hawk helicopters that we left, like literally we could put, like, didn't need to be a food kitchen, and that would be a lot where normal people could go. Like it could be a respectable restaurant. We didn't even know if people were eating there for free, you know, and you could pay there too, maybe, but maybe not. I don't know, but there should be a free. If McDonald's is so cheap, Subway is so cheap, there should be a government Subway shop. You can go anywhere and get a sandwich if you're hungry. Why the fuck not? I mean, that's not that crazy. What do you think about free sandwiches across America and Alex Stein ending world hunger one sub at a time?
Honestly, dude, Subway's whack, dude.
Dude, their stuff's made out of yoga mats. That doesn't matter. I like yoga, dude. I like yoga. I'm a yogi, so I'm into that.
I'm not into that, dude. I make my own sandwiches.
No, it's disgusting food. It's totally disgusting. But that's part of Subway, is that you know it's disgusting. You know it's not good. But it's $5 for a footlong, and you're fat, and you're hungry, and you want to stuff your gullet with as much bread, and as much mayonnaise, and as much lettuce, and as much cheese, and as much fake bacon, and as much turkey, you want all that shit in your stomach because you're so hungry. That's what we want. We're all a bunch of hungry animals.
You're making me hungry. Look how much I'm drinking over here.
I know. I can just sit here and talk about subs all day long. I can talk about the oil and vinegar. I can talk about it toasting so it's lightly crispy. I can tell you about the cheese lightly melted. We can talk about a tuna melt. We can talk about, there's so many different levels of sandwiches.
All right, well, let the record stand that I was going to talk about Pindar and the House of the Dragon, but, Alex Stein wants to talk about Subway on the Conspiracy Cast.
It's going to solve mankind's ilks. I can't solve it by telling people 9/11 was an inside job. They look at me like I'm crazy. I tell people we didn't land on the moon. They're like, I think we did. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You don't know. I yell at them, and then they think I'm crazy, dudes. But if I handed them a free Subway, a free turkey bacon club, they would be like, holy cow, this guy's awesome. And it would just be a whole different deal. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay. That's interesting. Well, I'll tell you.
It's not that interesting.
If you love Subway like Alex Stein.
I don't like it. It's disgusting, but it's just it makes the most sense.
Well,
schematically. Listen, I'm all about schematics. I'm a schematics expert. They call me Schematic Stein. What?
Here's a weird synchronicity. You could
I don't know synchronicity. I know schematics. And schematically, Subway is the #1 franchise restaurant in the United States and across the world. So that would give us the most advantage of doing the subs across America. So a systems expert like myself that is using systems and a systematical process learning and thinking, I can solve subs across America myself.
Yeah. Well, you could have brought up any company. You could have brought up, Mike's,
Jersey Mike's. No, their Subways, their sandwiches are too high quality. No,
you could have brought up any other shitty sandwich chain, but
you'd have to bring up the shittiest one because Subway.
Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something. Subway is a good representation of how fucked up America is. How like we talk about Tartaria and stuff. All these old buildings are like built all ornately and beautiful. Now any new building literally looks like a gray piece of shit. It looks like a square gray building. Every new building, every Amazon warehouse, everything. And these are companies that are making the most money possible. Like they could have some cool building, LEDs, like lights or whatever, ornateness. None, because we're just we suck dick as a society. So Subway is a good representation of America. Cheap, easy, fat, bunch of calories, made by a person that's strung out on methadone. You know what I mean? That's like the opioid. It represents the opioid problem in America. Just saying that if you looked at a better representation of how shitty America is, and I love America. Don't get me wrong. I'm red, white, and blue all the way through. You know what I mean? I'll put a boot in their ass. But Subway is what we are. The only way it'd be better is if it was a Subway buffet. But in a way, it is like a buffet because America's so fat, we can't wait for them to cook our food. We have to go to a place where they'll have it ready as we go. As we pay, the food is ready because we're so fat, we want to stuff it in our gullet.
Right. Well, I was going to point out the fact that Subway's headquarters is in the same town that I live in. So it's a weird synchronicity because you brought up Subway. You could have brought up any sandwich chain, but you brought up Subway. And I was just talking about Michael One, Ross Ben, the synchronicities. I mean, a little bit behind the scenes before I even had a podcast, I went to the Susquehanna River on my way back from my first time ever going to Washington, D.C. in the middle of the pandemic, like 2 months into it, the plandemic, right? And I already knew about Michael Wan because I love podcasts. I've been listening for years, but it didn't work for Sam Tripoli, and I sent my prayers and my thoughts down the river. I stood by the river and I just, prayed with the river. And I know that's going to sound woo-woo to everybody, but guess what?
It sounds gay to me, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, you know what? You can go fuck yourself because in a couple
fine.
months, a lot of magic happen. And that's what I think is significant. When you put yourself out there to receive and give, real things can happen. You just got to engage with the natural forces that are around you in your own backyard. And it's not just the Susquehanna for people who
But go back to synchronicity. Let me tell you something, Mark. I'm Primetime 99. I have no idea where Subway's headquarters is. Zero idea. I don't even know the proper name of the city that you're in. You're in Connecticut or something. I don't even know the name of the proper city. You always say it. I can't remember shit. Listen. How? And I knew. I was channeling Subway. I was channeling Jared Fogle in prison. I had the energy. Somehow, off the firmament, Subway was in my brain. That's how you guys know. I'm thinking before. I knew. I didn't know I was going to go on a Subway rant, but I knew my brain was saying, talk about Subway. It's because you are in the Subway's headquarters town. This is the Subway connection. I'm so spot on. I can solve the hunger crisis. I can solve the race issue. I can solve a lot of other ilks, systemic racism. I can solve the abortion problem. It's all with free subs. Because if people knew they got pregnant. Let's say you're 16 and pregnant, and you're like, how am I going to feed my child? I don't know if I have enough money to take care of my child. But if you know there's a little restaurant called Subway where every single day you can get 3 subs, no matter what, no questions asked, you can feed that baby all the subs he can eat, you're going to have the baby because you get free Subway for life. That's government subsidized subs. That's what it is. We're not subsidizing subs. Subsidization, Subway. Conspiracy. I figured it out, Mark. Free sandwiches, problem solved. Subsidize Subway, solve the problems. Sounds crazy. Let me start giving out some free tuna sandwiches. Then we'll see how crazy I am.
Okay, I see your point.
That's going to be my whole platform when I run for president or governor or whatever. It's going to be subsidized Subway.
But you don't even own, you don't have one stake in the Subway company.
None, and I won't. It's a disgusting company. I wouldn't invest my money in that trash of a company ever. It'd be a terrible investment.
Wow, I've just shamed my whole town, Alex. You've got me. You stick a.
Well, it just
fork in
shows
me,
you, like,
dude.
what town are you in?
The best town in Connecticut, dude.
Say it.
Milford.
Exactly,
Milford?
dude. That's what I'm saying. That shows you Subway's a shitty company. It's in Milford. What is that? That's like a factory town or something. What the fuck? Hey, Subway, go to New York City, dude.
Hey,
Go to Dallas.
When was
real
Dallas
headquarters.
founded? What year was Dallas founded?
Has more.
What
companies,
year? How old
more,
is Dallas?
It doesn't matter, but listen, it's old
Whoa,
enough.
whoa.
Old enough
No,
to
it
drink.
matters.
Old enough
It
to
matters.
fuck. Old enough
It
to fuck.
matters.
Listen, this isn't about Milford, dude. I'm just showing you Subway's a shitty fucking sandwich place. They're literally the biggest chain franchisee restaurant in the world. They could have a headquarters in New York City, Los Angeles, Dallas, Chicago, a real city. They're in Milford, Connecticut because they're a white trash company. And I'm not even saying Milford, Connecticut's white trash. I'm just saying Subway. Have you ever been to a Subway? The paper they give you, they can't even give you a plate, dude. They give you paper, dude. They don't even have a proper cutlery. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I mean, dude. No, if you're eating at if you work at Subway, you're an ex-convict, and if you're not an ex-convict and you work at Subway, you've murdered animals. You've tortured animals.
The first Subway that ever existed was in my hometown, Alex.
Fake news. Fake news. The first Subway was in New York City. On the subway, a guy was making sandwiches. That was the first one. He was selling them for $0.25. They used to call him Subway Sam. And that was
Subway Sam.
Subway Sam.
Okay, so you know Subway Sam.
I know Subway Sam. He was the one in the sub. He was claiming out the sandwiches. He used to shell them out.
Well, actually, that's false because Subway Sam lives on Subway Sam Road in Milford, Connecticut, because he founded the town, dude, in 1626, dude, when the first Subway was open, dude.
No, it was opened in New York City the day the Subway was open. Subway Sam was making bologna sandwiches.
No,
yeah,
dude.
Subway Sam
and
was
the first hamburger is from Connecticut.
No, it's
the
Hamburg, Germany. That's Hamburg, Germany, dude.
No,
You're
it's
fake
Hamburg,
news.
Connecticut, bro. Look it up. It
doesn't matter, dude. It doesn't matter, dude. The first Impossible Whopper was made at Burger King, the true God, the true burger lord.
No. The first helicopter is from Connecticut. The first submarine is from Connecticut. Come on, Alex. You want to go toe to toe?
I'm not here to talk about Connecticut, dude. This isn't Connecticut state history. I'm just saying, I wonder in Connecticut, are they going to be cool with me using the women's restroom? Because I know at the Burger King I go to, they're not. Well, they're not. They get mad. I leave it a mess, though. I leave it a disgusting mess.
I would probably fit in better down there in Texas. You would probably fit in better over here with that attitude.
Yeah. I like to remove the top of the toilet and go in that part of the toilet. That's my favorite thing to do when I'm in the women's
Subway
restroom.
When you're in the Subway.
And any toilet besides mine that I can take off the top and go in. That's my favorite thing to do. It's my favorite
how's
prank.
this for Subway being a corporation? The first Subway ever opened. Okay, this is how shitty Subway is. The first Subway ever opened is now closed and replaced.
With a Quiznos?
No, with like a cotton candy shop or some shit.
Oh, that's an upgrade. If you're gonna say Quiznos, that would have been so fucked up, dude. Could you imagine if that shows you how shitty of a Subway is so shitty that their original flagship store, or whatever, the one that started it all, would become a Quiznos because they hire literal pedophiles as their marketing and brand. Their whole entire branding is based on pedophiles that are fat.
Yeah, dude. I mean, from Delaware to Connecticut to Hollywood, California, there's all kinds of fucking shady ass people, bro. I mean, why do you think I'm into the conspiracy stuff? Because I grew up in Connecticut, conspiracy Connecticut, dog. I mean, Yale University, Skull and Bones. Mark Twain,
Was Jared Fogle a Skull and Bones?
Huh?
Was Jared Fogle a Skull and Bones?
Honestly, I don't even think he's from Connecticut. I think he's just some fucking LA person.
I think he's from Milford.
Oh, he's from Milford. Holy shit, dude. Oh shit, there's mice in the studio, dude.
Do you have a mouse in your house? You're in the garage, right?
There's mice in the studio, dog.
That's ex-ghetto. I know. I hope they go on the stream. I hope they go by You got to get some traps, dude. You don't want the lady
Yeah.
to see that too. Don't. How do we?
No, dude, she doesn't want him killed, dude. I showed him to her. And
I
she
don't
was
want
like,
him
"Oh my
killed
God,
either
so
necessarily.
cute."
It's funny. I just say traps. I don't really want you to kill him either. I didn't. There was a rat upstairs, and he just is gone now. I'm not upstairs in my attic. He's gone, thank God now. But I didn't want to put up I didn't put out traps for him. I wanted to. I mean, I debated it, is what I'm saying. I didn't do it because I didn't want to kill him.
Yeah.
But I debated it. I didn't know what the fuck to do. But I just was like, I don't want to kill his ass.
Yeah. Well, you're spot on, Alex. I mean, Milford, Connecticut definitely has white trash. I mean, there's a mouse in my studio. I don't want to speak for
That
my
mouse,
family.
that's Ratatouille. He actually he works at Subway. He's a flavor creationist at Subway. He creates the flavor palettes that you taste. The yoga mat, that rat is the one that decides to put yoga mat in their meat, in their bread at Subway.
Yeah. Well, I kind of own it because I'm like, I grew up so close to New Haven and Yale University that I'm like, fuck those elite, rich, people. And then you go to Greenwich, New York City. It's just a mad, coast of yachts and all kinds of privilege. So it made me a little bit jaded and maybe more interested in researching this stuff. But yeah,
Me
dude,
too. Me too.
I think-
I grew up in Highland Park with all these super rich kids, and they had all the new material shit, and my dad didn't buy me a lot of it. I'm not saying my dad raised me great. I'm not saying I wanted for anything, but I just didn't have all the new shit that they had. Like, I didn't have, like, a mom buying me a bunch of... I mean, my mom she got me shit, but just she didn't get me shit like these kids. You know what I mean? They had all the shit, all the new Jordans. I never had a pair of Jordans. I never had a pair of $200 tennis shoes, not one time.
We grew up when they were killing the middle class, so I completely understand. I mean,
I would try to get the $150 shoes. My parents would be like, no way. There's just shit like that. Kids that had all the new gear. So what it would make me do is it made me not like it. It made me think, even at a young age, like, I didn't really embrace it till probably I was like nearly 30 or 29, 28 when I was like, fuck materialism. But I've always been anti-materialism because everybody's been about it. So that's like one of the biggest ilks. We keep on saying that's a new word, ilk, illness. That's materialism. People feel like they can make their self-esteem better by buying some inanimate clothing or a car or whatever the hell it is.
Bro, I just want people to fucking understand what's going on in the world right now. And I read...
Nothing's going on in the world. The world's totally fine. Everything's fine in the world.
Bro, everybody needs to go check out Rossband 180.
Don't check him out. Just
Instagram.
relax. Everybody needs to go
Go
turn
on
on CNN.
Instagram.
Go on CNN.
Instagram.
Go on
Check
CNN.com
out
and look at the
Rossband.
homepage and read the first 12 articles and then regurgitate them to every coworker that you talk to. And always say the CNN talking points. And look at Anderson Cooper and always say whatever Anderson Cooper says, but say it louder and more aggressively.
Yeah, and you know what? Synchronistically, dude, I was just on a lake house that's on the same lake as Anderson Cooper's house. So
how did I know that?
You're fucking psychic, you little fuck.
Dude, I'm the Anderson Cooper Crypt Keeper. I know this shit. I know what's going on. You guys don't think I do, but I know. I
think I told you about that before, that he has a house in Bantam.
You didn't say that before. You didn't say anything about Anderson
No?
Cooper. No, you've never told me that.
Wow, look at that, folks. Alex Stein, proven psychic.
I know shit. When I'm talking, I'm not even talking. I'm being, somebody's using astral projection on the other side. And it's just that's spiritually. Sometimes maybe somebody's just using me as a puppet, and they're actually on the other side controlling my body.
Well, that's good, dude.
I have a little control.
Vessels.
I have a little control over it, but they're gaining more control as time goes by.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm a vessel for spirit and the creator. Would you not feel called to that same...
I'm a vessel for Subway sandwiches.
Yeah, you're a fucking garbage pail full of Subway sandwiches. You're not even wearing pants right now, Alex. Look at yourself,
I know.
dude.
They're too tight around my
What
waist.
are you... Listen,
I don't
here's the
understand.
thing, Alex. We need to get you... For those who don't know, I help fucking Alex out, okay? I get him guests. We need to get you some fitness guests on this show.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. We need more
We
fitness
need to
people. I
get
love
you-
fitness.
We need to have you talk to Matt Belair, okay? The Zen athlete. Okay, I want you doing deadlifts.
I want
Alex
hot.
Stein.
I want hot ladies though. Hot fitness house. I want fitness.
We're gonna
house.
get fit together, dude, with the fitness hose. Look at me, dude. skinny
I
as
want girls
fuck.
to
Look at
put
that.
on. Yeah, but I want like girls in yoga pants doing stretches and showing me how I can, dial it in and get my
We'll do
chakras
that.
aligned.
We'll do that. Shout out to all the yoga babes,
Yoga
that we
babes.
will get on this show to help you improve the conspiracy castle, mind, body, and soul connection, dude. Because I feel a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about is going in one ear and out the other because you're eating Krispy Kreme, you're going to Subway, you're going to Quiznos, you're going to Jersey Mike's.
I'm at Quiznos every day, dude.
Yesterday,
I'm not even
I
allowed
talked
at
to
the
you-
Quiznos down Lemon Avenue because I have a fight with
Oh
the
my
manager, Terry.
God.
I'm not even allowed at that Quiznos.
Fuck you, Terry.
It's because he
Guess
puts the
what?
meat on all wet, so it's a toasted sub, but it's all wet in the area where the meat is. Terry knows that. I call him Toasted Terry because he didn't toast it right.
Dude,
I can't go to
Terry
that.
sucks.
I know, Toasty Terry.
All right.
He's toasty as hell.
Listen, yeah, and I've had similar beefs, dude. Like the dude at the Krausers who got mad at me for not wearing a mask ever. Fuck you, bro. And Dave who threw me out of the market.
We're pro masks. We like masks. It's because you didn't have. You should wear
Oh.
2 masks for safety.
Oh, okay, fine. I'll wear 2
Okay, wait.
masks.
So this guy got mad at you. That's smart. And then what happened? This guy threw you out of somewhere.
No, I was making a fucking point, Alex. All right. Now I gotta put my glasses on so I could focus, dude. You were listening, and then at one point, the super fast pace that your mind's working at got ahead of you. And I think we need to slow things down.
Well,
and
I'm all
connect.
discombobulated. Like I tried to use a women's restroom at Chick-fil-A today, and like the person was like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna burn in hell," and all this stuff because I was like pooping in the top of the toilet. And then I started crying, and I don't know. I'm all disheveled because I don't know what I'm doing half the time. When I walk in the Chick-fil-A women's restroom and I start going in the top of the toilet, I don't know why. I don't have control of my bowels. I don't have control of my mind. And I turn on Alexandra. And then when they confront me, I'm not violent, but the way the guy, he prayed for me in front of me. We sat down, and I was covered in fecal matter. And he sat and prayed for me, and I felt better, but I just don't feel good right now.
Wow, that's scary, dude. That's scary, dude.
It's
Either
really
way.
bad. It's really bad. Chick-fil-A, they're really spiritual, so it really messed with my head.
So, but there's 2 connections. There's a Subway connection. There's the Anderson Cooper connection. There's a psychic link. Okay, we were talking on the phone the other day. What were you doing?
Did they invent honey mustard?
Through.
Did they invent honey mustard in Milford, Connecticut?
No, but they invented hamburgers in New Haven, Connecticut, and we have the best pizza in Connecticut. So,
Oh, that's true. What is it called? A pizza or something? It's called a pizza.
a beats.
A beats. Yeah, they call it something. Yeah, see,
Wow,
that shows you they
you
have
know
that.
things.
Dude, I know every. Dude, there's nothing I don't know. I'm an
Oh
encyclopedia
well,
of
did
knowledge.
you know this? Did you know this? That in the 1600s, the English created a town in Connecticut called New London, and they renamed the Mohegan River, which is the same name as the Mohegan Sun Casino that most people know about. They probably go to if they're in this area, and they renamed it the Thames River, just like they have in London. So they're recreating this place in London, trying to bring the British royalty over here, right? Well, obviously people know, well, the British were defeated. Well, that's not true, because there's still British people that live in Connecticut today. And Yale
Shut up.
University
They walk around with
is-
their fake teeth all fucked up, and they're like drinking tea and shit like that. Oh, they're like, I'm
Absolutely.
drinking tea. I'm drinking tea. I got a fucking tea.
Absolutely. And that might
I
sound
want some
scary.
fucking bloody tea.
That might sound scary to you in Texas, but over here, that's commonplace, okay? I'm Paul Revere. I'm warning you guys right now.
You have Howard
Right.
Stern vibes with those glasses. I think I said that before. You have not.
Well,
I like them. Keep them on. I like the Howard Stern vibe. We can kind of LARP like this is Howard Stern.
Okay.
Howie.
Isn't this what Howard Stern did, right? That?
No, Howard Stern's a lame. He's Illuminati. He's shill. I mean, it's just
Thank
weird.
you.
It's just weird that I knew that Subway can solve all of our problems by subsidizing sub sandwiches, and that you're in Milford, Connecticut, the home and capital of Subway. And the synchronicity is off the chart. So what does that mean? Why does that guy Michael yawn? Oh, go to sleep. Not wand. what does that have to do? So what does that mean? Does that mean that I can astral project and that I can see into the future and that I know who's going to win the 2022 Super Bowl in February 16th?
Yeah, if you fucking studied hard enough, maybe you could actually have that kind of foresight. But I have a feeling you're not going to listen. So hold on a second.
What are you doing, dude? You're messing up the vibe of the show, dude. Don't stand up.
I'm not messing up the vibe of the show. I'm getting
Dude, the guest,
board.
yeah, you should have some respect. As a guest, you're allotted this day for the show, dude. Show respect. Don't leave the show.
All right.
Unless you have to go unless you're gonna poop in the top of a toilet at Chick-fil-A, do not go off the screen.
All right, that's the last time that will ever happen. But I have my board here. Okay, I wanted to present some things for people.
Why do you have the N-word written on there a bunch? It looks like you have the N-word. Why do you use that word?
That's not what that
looks
says.
like
That's
the
a
N-word.
Latin.
Dude, what is this, dude? This is a show, man. This isn't some sort of like KKK rally or something, dude. I don't know what is going on with you.
No, okay, you're being so inflammatory.
I am being a little inflammatory because I think I have COVID. I'm inflamed, dude. I mean, yeah, dude. I think I have COVID-19.
It's hysterical, but if people will stick with me for a second, that word is Nigredo, Nigredo, which is a Latin word for black. Okay, so it does kind of relate, but not in that way. So no,
okay,
this
still,
is nothing extremist.
I don't like that, but go ahead.
Okay,
feels extreme, but go ahead.
Well, the person who wrote this book, I'm not going to speak for them, but they are black. You can describe them that way.
Okay.
So it's coming from a black man. Either way. So what we're talking about here is the alchemical process. Okay. And what Ross breaks down in his book is that they're taking royalty, the divine right to rule, from the Moors, right? The Moors meaning mavre, which is the Greek term for black, just like this is another word for black. We call people with melanated skin black, okay? The author of this book, this information coming from
and it's a book about alchemy? Isn't that a little racist when black people are the ones that are the best at cooking crack and turning cocaine into crack? That's alchemy. And
Alex, both of us know that that's only a byproduct of the military-industrial complex and their drug trafficking.
For sure.
So why would you make that connection?
Well, they're the best at cooking it. They're the best alchemists.
But bear with me, this is this. If you're gonna make this a touchy subject, then let me present something. So we have the Great Mystery Philadelphia, and you're like, oh, who cares about Philadelphia? Rocky movie, big deal, whatever. Well, guess what? Philadelphia was the birthplace of this nation in a lot of ways. Boston, Philadelphia, these were...
Tom Hanks had that movie where he was gay. He was a homosexual in the movie.
Right. People always think like, oh, Washington, D.C., but they don't remember that Washington, D.C. was built, because they were like, all right, we're doing this America thing. So there's a lot more history to talk about when we look at Philadelphia. And Ross Ben, again, I'm going to talk about his work here. So I don't want people to think, oh, Mark found this out. No, I want people to check out his book. But either way, I think this part is really important for people who listen to this show and watch this show to understand. So they're manipulating historic and prophetic timelines. The manipulation of historic and prophetic timelines is nothing new. It is an ancient magic that traces from certainly Roman and probably Babylonian times. For the purpose of this work, we'll identify 4 ways of manipulation: anathema, pervert and distort prophetic teachings, learn prophecy, then enact historic events to prevent the prophecy from being fulfilled. And then the last one is learn prophecy, then enact historic events that mimic fulfillment, but ultimately serve nefarious intentions. Now, considering what we're about to take on with the 20th anniversary of 9/11, does any of that sound familiar?
Well, yeah. So you think there's an overlapping timeline with 2001 and 2021 right now? It's like we didn't learn anything from Afghanistan, basically. We're starting over.
No. What I'm saying is that on 9/11, 20 years ago, they were mimicking the fulfillment of a prophetic event to serve a nefarious intention. Okay. And what you'll learn if you check out this book and the work of Rosban and Michael Wann, Wann, you'll find out that this whole country that we're in was set up that way to facilitate this manipulation in an esoteric way, right? So living in the state that I live, I've noticed that, okay, my town is going back to like 1642. Wonder what kind of history there is around here. Well, you find out that there's a bunch of Native Americans around here.
A bunch of Subway sandwich shops.
Yeah, Subway sandwich is another thing. But, Subway sandwich got its start right on that same river.
Is it true they found a fossilized Subway sandwich and they knew that it was eaten by dinosaurs, the first Subway?
The first Subway was definitely
by cavemen.
Not eaten by dinosaurs, because dinosaurs don't exist, dude. That's fake.
Big old lizards did, and they ate Subway at the first Subway shop.
Dude, dinosaurs were just giants.
People are mad. Oh, Systems Planet, this guy who I like a lot, who's a Bitcoin Bala, he said, this conversation is too dumb for me. Good night. You know what I'm saying? People don't like that when we start talking about creative things, how to solve the world, how to subsidize Subway sandwiches. People get mad.
So people are too dumb to read a book? Is that what you're telling me?
I am. I mean, to be honest, yeah, I'm not that smart. So, what am I going to say?
How is this conversation dumb? Because he's too dumb to pay attention. I think the intelligent people listening who are interested in learning a little bit about the roots of this country might be interested in this book. I thought you might be as well.
No, keep going.
I know, you're trying to do the CNN minute by minute thing and people have short attention span, and we're not talking about flat earth, but I was just talking about how dinosaurs weren't real. So,
go into that. Go into that. People love that shit, dude.
Well, what we're talking about here is, some shit that goes into...
Don't cuss. Please don't say shit.
Sorry.
Don't say shit. Don't say fuck. Don't say jizz, anything like that. Don't say any bad words.
All right. Is that offending people?
We're just not allowed to cuss. I'm the only one that's allowed to cuss.
Well, I don't want to be on a show like that.
Yeah, for dramatic effect. Yeah, only the host is allowed to cuss on this one. Sorry.
I feel like I'm a serf in the conspiracy kingdom. That's how it works.
Really, and you're not allowed to disagree with me. Honestly, yeah.
So should I smash this globe behind me?
That's what I'm saying. You have to light it on fire. People are getting annoyed by me already in the chat. Oh, look, it looks like I got some troll, I think, already. All right,
we should light the globe on fire for your YouTube channel.
I don't want to kill those rats. I don't want to kill those mouse, dude.
No, the mice are fine, dude. My girlfriend was feeding them. But either way, I think people are interested who are still here, so we shouldn't discount them. So here's the thing. This is Rosben talking here. The Rosy Cross-inspired plots that exemplify this Latin process of turning, lead to gold. Okay, that's what these words mean here that you pointed out. It's coming through history. They're doing magic to create events in history to work through this long-term alchemical process, right? So that includes the colonization scheme of Francis Bacon and the Western design of Oliver Cromwell. Do you know who any of those people are, Alex?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but what was Oliver Cromwell? What did he start? He's a big deal. Say it. What did he start? Media or some shit?
No, Oliver Cromwell is from the 1600s, and he was a British general. So I don't know if you're
a general. Okay, go ahead.
Right. So, but more importantly, Francis Bacon was allegedly Shakespeare, the real Shakespeare, because there's all this, debate over who the real Shakespeare was, because that was just a pen name. Have you ever heard about this conspiracy?
No, let's go into this, because the Shakespeare doesn't make sense. How did he write all that shit? I mean,
exactly.
Go into this. I'm interested.
So people, point that out, like the guy from Stratfordshire who, has the claim on being Shakespeare. He was allegedly uneducated. His children couldn't read or write. It's like, if this guy wrote all these works that inspired English to be, one of the best languages, the modern language, why would his children not be educated, right? So it just doesn't make sense. Meanwhile, this guy, Francis Bacon, who was somebody who would have had the knowledge to write all these plays, was accomplished in all these other fields, was a part of the Rosicrucians and all these other secret groups that have this esoteric knowledge. What if he was actually Shakespeare? And there's a lot of people who point to him. And I think whenever you have like the mainstream sources going like, oh yeah, see, like people who are crazy think Francis Bacon was actually Shakespeare, but that's nonsense. And here's why. Anytime you see that, National Geographic, History Channel, whatever bullshit magazine, scientific article, whatever, that to me is more proof that, okay, there's something going on here that they're trying to cover up. And yeah, man, I would say Francis Bacon, not only, you know, the Shakespeare stuff aside, he was a big part of what we are dealing with here in this country. You know, all of the, you know, magic manipulation and the chemical companies that are now trying to force these things into our bodies, you know, they get their roots in the foundations of this country too, you know, the royal bloodlines. And
Well, was Francis Porkchop, was he in the 1600s?
Francis Francis Bacon, yeah, he
Pork
is
chop. I don't like bacon as much. I like pork chops better.
no, I don't know off the top of my head what year Francis Bacon was born and died.
Pork chop. We call him pork chop on this show, but go ahead. Everybody's saying my comedy is falling a little flat tonight, but it is because, guys, I got some sort of mean text message from somebody. Some group message. Okay, good. Listen, I'm just going to tell you this. Sir Francis Porkchop was probably the author of Shakespeare.
Thank you. Yeah, I just, you know, I don't know, maybe people don't get my sense of humor, and that's why, you know, you're having a hard time here, Alex. I don't know. I think we generally have fun when we talk on the phone, but maybe it
No, we
doesn't
do. No,
translate.
I love it. I love this so much. It's funny. I'm in some group message. I guess it's a spammer or something. It's like everybody's texting stop. Does that ever happen where somehow you get in some group text message and it's spam? It's like, I don't know, somebody's purposely spamming me. It's always, you know, I feel like I'm getting attacked.
See that on Instagram sometimes, but no. You know, I definitely avoid YouTube for that reason. Much love to everybody watching on YouTube. But if you got a comment, you know, it's like, who the hell cares, man? I just don't care. And I know you love your audience, and I appreciate that. But like with the podcasting thing, it's like the right people reach out and say that
Rachel
like
Elizabeth got 2 cats. I know they're going to say the nice things. I don't worry about it. Rachel Elizabeth got 2. Oh, a donation. Shay TK, thank you so much. Rachel Elizabeth, she had 2 cats. What should she name them? Wow, another donation. Sky Bear. Wow, that's a dope. Mark, please donate your glasses to my dad. I want him look at me through blue space beam glasses. Okay,
you know, actually, these glasses came from the first head shop in the United States in New Haven, Connecticut. Look at that. Drug
What?
culture.
That was the first place you could buy a bong? Hey, somebody just said Ashley J in the chat. I had a pork chop for dinner. I called it Ashley J. Sir Francis pork chop. I wrote Shakespeare and I knew what you had for dinner. So I know this shit. I'm clairvoyant. Keep going.
Well, either way, that's all I had to say about that. But New Haven's weird, man.
The first bong shop. The first bong shop was in New Haven.
Yeah, the whole hippie movement was social engineering, right? So, like, where do you think they social engineer people? At the Ivy League colleges, like Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut, and all the other little prep schools that are in Connecticut.
Yeah, dude, I'm realizing government school and even in those private schools, they're like even the worst. Like, they're all funded by all these like evil organizations, whatever you want to call it. If you go
corporations,
but I'm just saying, like, if you go to public school, there's a reason why it's free. It's because you're selling them like your soul, or you're selling them your brain. Like, you know, they're able to program you and put in their operating software. And that's why it's free, because it doesn't the learning system that we use. You don't teach anything that's very applicable to later on in life. You learn a bunch of unnecessary bullcrap, and they just want to teach you how to be an obedient debt slave. And so it's really scary. Now, looking back, now that I graduated college and now that I did that whole system, I'm like, man, that couldn't be any worse of a built system. Now you look at all the politics now, like all the school mass stuff, and like all these crazy teachers are like Antifa or even right wing. I don't even want some crazy right wing teacher. I'm just saying, like, you can't even get a normal teacher. You're gonna get some freaking weird teacher trying to do some weird agenda. Like the world is so weird right now. Bringing a kid up in it is not something. Wow, $19 for the first Subway franchise. Thank you. Another donation, Roosevelt. Hilarious show with a straight man, Mark C's. Okay, see, Roosevelt thinks it's funny. Thank you, Roosevelt. Roosevelt's the A1. So you know that's basically what I think about that, Mark. Sir Francis pork chop. But I'm done. But the indoctrination at these schools, dude, you can't unlearn like what they teach you. They put it in your brain and it is stuck in your head. It's a lot like the shape of the earth and like the planets and all that stuff. They teach you that at a young age, so you don't really like question it. You just kind of agree with it. But that's another thing for another day. We can talk about how the systems learning, I'm talking about the machine learning with modern day schooling, is insane. It's like basically it's like repetitive artificial intelligence that can predict what the person using it, the child, is going to do before they do it. Like they can predict like what they're going to answer by looking at their eyes. I mean, it's just this really, it's what they call like learning tech. I have a woman that Lynn Davenport on. She's like an expert in this. And there's like all these companies that invest in it and stuff. But basically that's the future of this indoctrination is learning technologies where kids will have like iPads and they'll do all their, you know, projects and stuff will be like, they're like, oh, it's gamify it, so it seems easier, but really it's just like this trance and hypnotism.
You scolded me for talking about books. Like, what do you think is going to avoid that kind of indoctrination? Fucking collect the books now before they're gone, dude.
Magazines.
I mean, I don't know if
Playboy.
Connecticut's the example, but I noticed that these small bookstores, they're getting locked down. People are fucking telling you to wear a mask inside of a bookstore. I'm like, fuck this, man. Like, I'm so glad that I have as many as I do. So I just want to encourage people to get as many as they can before the internet gets locked down, because I know there's plenty of websites I used to go to for conspiracy information that are gone, long gone now on the internet. So it's only a matter of time. And I think, you know, video content, podcast content, that's as good as it gets because it's independent. You can make it yourself. You don't have to, you know, get a whole production studio. But books are a little different. You know, there's a lot of really interesting publishers out there who are willing to take a chance on information. I think if you put yourself in the right place, you might find a book that could change your life, you know, and I think that's the whole reason I'm in this stuff. And, you know, you're talking about the machine learning. Yeah, man. I mean, I have Ray Kurzweil's book. I know all about that bullshit that he wants for everybody, the 2045 agenda. I also have, you know, a book about the cosmic conspiracy and how the aliens are going to come and save us. So I think that there's a whole bunch of stuff that could happen. But honestly, I think, you know, for parents out there, I can't speak for your kids. You're going to have to make the decision. But I think for yourself, you know, I don't want to become a robot. I wouldn't want my kids to become a robot. You know, and this graphene that they're trying to put in everybody's body and put in every
That's
product.
not true. Don't say that on YouTube. They're not putting anything in our bodies. The government is not putting anything in our bodies besides healthy food and healthy alternatives. The government always wants to take care of us and give us healthy stuff. But don't say any words like caffeine or whatever you said.
Well, either way, you know, I think
the
people
government
know about
is
this
good.
2D.
The government is good. It's run by good people. The good people are in charge. They're doing all the good stuff.
We were trying to live in a 5D reality, and now they're coming out with this 2D material, the first 2D material ever, and we're supposedly in the 3D, third dimensional. Like, if we're going to go upward, and now they're introducing this product that's allegedly in the 2 dimension, to me, it just feels like they're trying to anchor and lower our vibration into a more negative, less enlightened, less of a high frequency, less of a high vibration. So,
well, that's obvious. That's obvious. They want us in a low vibrational state so they can control us, keep us in constant fight or flight. You know, I mean, that's obvious, isn't it?
Yeah. Hence this conversation. But, you know, having it might inspire people to be like, okay, yeah, I'm not the only one who thinks this way. I need to actually take real steps to prevent any harm that might come my way. If I'm not careful, well, hey, maybe I will get anchored into the third dimension, and people who take the steps to protect themselves elevate into the 5D, and the elite are so fucked up from all their awful rituals they've done that they'll never make it into the higher dimensions, you know.
How
So
many
they're trying
dimensions do you think there are? Tell us what you think about dimensions. Give us your dimension spiel. What do you think about them?
well, I mean, in a kind of microcosm, macrocosm way, I would say maybe there's 12 dimensions. We look up in the sky, we have these 12 features of the zodiac. That information, you know, is universal.
Isn't there really
in some
13
ways.
zodiacs? So didn't they get rid of someone like that? Isn't there a hidden zodiac?
There's a hidden zodiac sign. Yeah, I did talk about that with David Matheson on my podcast. I mean, I think it's really just up to, you know,
Is it
interpretation.
diabetes? What is it? There's Cancer, there's Virgo, and then the hidden one is diabetes.
Yeah, Ophiuchus.
I thought it was diabetes is what it's called, like cancer, but diabetes is the hidden one. And they got rid of it because it was rude. Because a lot of people have type 1 diabetes that can't control their insulin levels.
Yeah, this is why I don't do research on Instagram with memes, because that's the kind of information you might find on Instagram. But that's all right. I gave people the sources to find the information that they need to find if they're interested. The people in the comments who don't like it, you know, that's fine. You don't have to listen to the My Family Thinks I'm Crazy podcast at myfamilythinksimcrazy.com. And you don't have to support me on Patreon and, you know, check out the synchro mystic exploration of the ever expanding now, because that's too woo-woo for some people, but that's okay. My family's always thought I was crazy. I'm totally comfortable in that position with Alex Stein, the conspiracy asshole in this conspiracy castle. Ooh.
I like it. I like the effeminate. See, we like effeminate characters. I've always thought that was funny. Growing up, you know, that's why I like to play an effeminate. That's why I like to do the transitioning stuff, because I grew up watching In Living Color, and Jamie Foxx and them used to always, you know, play effeminate characters, and it just makes you laugh. I don't know why he's acting effeminately. It's the easiest way to be funny. I know it's
programming.
Cheap, but yeah,
it's the programming, Disney programming. They want little boys to act like girls and little girls to act like boys, bro. I mean,
they
that's
did,
the whole...
and we used to do that. We used to laugh. He's like, "Oh my god, so what's up?" And we used to laugh when we'd impersonate that. It's funny and it's still funny today to do that for whatever reason. They want to invert everything. They want to invert.
But if you understand that Francis Bacon, who helped create this
Francis
country,
Porkchop, sorry,
and was also potentially Shakespeare, you know, and then you understand, okay, these stories that Shakespeare's talking about, that's like a formula, that's like a model. And then you have like a couple hundred years later, you have different players forming similar roles, you know, they're culture creating, but they're doing it in a new way with new tools. Yeah, they're following a template. And I think for me, you know, this may not be everyone's interest, but for me, I like going back into history and seeing where things started and how they connect to what's going on now. So if you like that kind of stuff, join me over on the My Family Thinks I'm Crazy podcast. We've been dishing it up about Tartaria and all kinds of interesting historical, conspiratorial topics, but it's getting late over here, dog. I don't know if you want to get some callers.
Up, yeah. Do you want to call? People want to call in. Should we open the phone line to call in?
You should call.
Okay,
you have people call in. I might stick around for a couple callers.
No. Just for a second. Just for a second. I'm gonna open up the phone line for 1 second. Google. What is this?
Is somebody gonna call in and talk shit? Because I'll take them on.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I don't want them to call in. They're gonna just say the N-word the whole time. Shit. Let me put the freaking invite. We'll see if participates. If you invite them over, whatchamacallit, over Zoom, usually you get less trolls, if that means anything. But, you know, now I say that, we're probably going to get a bunch of trolls. Okay, let's see. If you guys come ask a question. Yeah, we'll just be on for like 15 more minutes, so hurry. If you guys want to freaking ask a question for Mark and
P.
What is that? Who is that, Mark?
Mark P.
Are you pooping or you peeing? Okay.
Mark Palmer's cool. How are you, brother?
There you go. That's Sammy.
Are you peeing? Are you pooping? No, that's Sammy boy, dog. I got that.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Sam the man. Yeah, well, we got to talk about the tinfoil hat. You know, I was on tinfoil hat. That was awesome.
I like that interview, and I like the Dallas episode. I thought that was, both of them were fucking good.
You're being nice. Okay, good. Okay.
No. I actually have sound clips that I brought from that, and I'm glad you reminded me.
Yeah, you did because I talked about let's see, you talked about the ass eating.
Oh, dude, and that was the best part.
I know.
Shout out to Alex Stein.
Number 99 on the grind all the time, dog.
People don't know, he's a single man.
Okay, y'all got like 5 minutes. I put the link in the chat. Let me put it on here.
Get on, Alex.
Look at me. Okay, I can't.
He's a great podcast. He's my friend. How long is this table? Thoughts so far? Everything okay?
Okay, all right. Look at it. He said great podcast. That's nice. He's being generous.
Sit down, Alex.
Yeah, because I'm just a mid-tier podcaster. Nah, I'm Primetime 99.
I like Tartaria.
Okay, stop, Mark, stop that.
I like Tartaria. Blood.
Okay, I just muted Mark. Okay, that was annoying as fuck. Okay, Mark, now I'm going to play this. Let me do a screen share. Just real quick, because nobody's calling in. We're about to end the show. Let me do a screen share. Oh, Enrique Martin joined. Shy. We gotta talk to Enrique. I was about to play the whatchamacallit,
I was gonna play the ass eating clip, but I forgot that it had a long start. They were doing the mud flood chant, and then you made the ass eating comment. But
well, it doesn't matter. Okay, Enrique Martin, what is this? What's going on, Enrique?
What's up?
Yo, what do you got for Mark and I this evening?
What?
What do you got for us?
So with 9/11 coming up, it's gonna 9/11 is on my birthday.
Okay. Oh shit! So you're born on 9/11. So your life has been tough, because you don't get to have a lot of good birthdays. Is that why?
Yeah.
It's a 20-year. It's a 20-year anniversary, Enrique. It's tough. You know.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking, Enrique?
You're gonna be 24.
Oh shit! So you're four years old when that.
Oh, you were a baby, dude. You don't even remember how bad it was. Not that it really is even like.
I mean, you don't.
How old are you?
Who knows? Maybe,
how old are you, Mark?
I was in 3rd grade. I don't remember exact. Well, I could do the math. I was 7. I wasn't much older than him.
Yeah, I know, dude. It was.
I'm still not much older than him. It's not like I age faster, but
no. Okay, Enrique.
Yeah,
so your birthday's in 3 days. What are you gonna do? I don't like birthdays. I feel like birthdays are low vibrational. You know, you always like have some sort of expectation that never meets it. But I imagine since you have kind of a sad birthday, like, are people more willing to go out and do something, or less willing because it's kind of sad?
I guess being Mexican American, it really doesn't matter. You know, being growing up in a Mexican culture, you know, nobody really, and the Mexicans, I guess, like
trip out about 9/11.
They don't really know about it. They don't really care about it. But nonetheless, you know, I'm still gonna be throwing a party, getting the families together, doing a cookout.
Enrique, so you're about to do a big.
I like to hear this.
It. Yeah, Enrique, I'm jealous.
The trauma has not affected the Mexican community. I'm glad to hear that.
Me too. Thank God. That shows you how strong the Mexican community is. Nothing will bring them
Hell
down.
yeah.
Even the Twin Towers coming down, it's not that big a deal. They're still gonna have a quinceañera. They're still gonna party.
He's like, yeah,
and that's why. You know why?
Fuck.
Because the Mexicans are not tripping out. They know they can build it better. They're like, oh well, let us build a new one. It'll be bigger, taller, and we'll build it faster. So that's why they kind of like it. They say, hey, look. Now you're going to let our people have a little taste of it, and we're going to benefit. So maybe it was a good thing for the Mexican community. I mean, I might be out on a limb with that, Enrique, but you know, you tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're right. And also now this thing popped in my head. Just last weekend, this past Saturday, my uncle came by and stopped to drink some beers, and he was telling me and my dad that his wife told the school teachers told that has a son. His son is like 4 or 5 years old. And no, my bad. He's like 6, 7 years old, and he's like I believe like in second grade, third grade. And the teachers, they say that he needs medicine because he's
Hyper. He's hyper, overactive.
There you go, hyperactive. And so he needs to take medicine just because he's hyperactive. And he's a man. He's a boy.
He's 7, yeah.
Yeah, he's like 7. Like what do you expect? Everybody was like that.
Dude, but that's what they want to do. They want to get kids on antidepressants. They want to get them on like Adderall, because if they get them hooked on like methamphetamines, then later on in life, that's easy to transition into cocaine. It's so easy to get into drugs if you've been taking drugs as a child. You learn about dosing. You get into that culture, sadly. And so like a lot of that is manipulation by society, putting kids on amphetamine salts when they're for being too hyper. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, at all. Like, we just told them, like, are you stupid? Like, don't be stupid. Don't be ignorant. Like, we were all like that. You were like that.
Spanked, yes. Well, they put me on. No, my parents put me on Ritalin when I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I hated taking it, so they didn't make me keep taking it. But yeah, they tried it. The doctor recommended it, and they put me on it, and it made me feel like shit. So I stopped. But for a lot of people, I know girls now that I went to school with that are still on Adderall, that were on Adderall when we were kids growing up, that are my age. So it's like a lot of it is the indoctrination we were talking about of school. You get them on pills, you get them on whatever the hell at an early enough age, and you got them for life. Anything else, Enrique?
No, sir, that'll be all.
You're the man. Thank you for calling in, Enrique. You have a good one. Living La Vida Loca. That's Ricky Martin, but I don't know why I brought that up, but I just want to say, Enrique, we love the Mexican community for all their hard work and for them not being afraid of the Twin Towers and for their work in building the One World Trade Center in Manhattan. So thank you for being part of such a great community of people.
It's over. The week is over. The month is over. These motherfuckers that think they can stop us, it's over for those cocksuckers too. It's Friday. It's a beautiful fucking...
Oh, sorry.
And you're hearing Chinese people yelling at you. But it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Speaking of, the Chinese lady yelled at me for not wearing a mask when I picked up my pad thai today. So it's kind of nice that he said that. And the thing is, I was actually putting on my 2 masks. She didn't let me. She didn't give me enough time.
Shout out to Enrique. That was a great call. And I definitely didn't mean to make a light note of that. I thought that Joey Diaz was going to be more encouraging because the clip's titled Unstoppable, but
no, it wasn't very uplifting. It was actually kind of annoying to me in my ears.
Yeah,
but it's okay. I'm annoying. I mean, what are we going to do? Okay.
And it was torture.
Listen. This is all I can say is it's Primetime 99 Alex Stein. It's Mark Steves from My Family Thinks I'm Crazy podcast. You can find us at Alt Media United. You can find us basically anywhere if you look, as long as you're not some bozo that's, has some sort of like, technology impediment. You'll be able to find us. It's that easy. So, Mark, what do you want to tell the people before we go?
Well, I will say thank you, my man, for having me on. This was fun. Thank you, listeners and viewers and all that jazz. Come check out the podcast and everything I talked about tonight. The history stuff, the metaphysics, conspiracies. We get into it on my show too. So join me over there. My Family Thinks I'm Crazy. You can find it anywhere that you can listen to podcasts.
And you can find the Conspiracy Council all over. We want to say we love the CDC. Always follow your CDC guidelines. Always follow whatever Anthony Fauci says, because, listen, Fauci knows and you don't. And I want to say thank you, Mark, for coming on. We got a lot more content to create together. And, you're on not that long ago. What? What? Some annoying soundbite that I'm going to freak out about? So, guys, just remember, it's Subway sandwiches can solve. If we subsidize free Subway sandwiches, imagine in every city, you can go get a free Subway sandwich paid for by the United States government that loves you, that went to the moon. That's a government that I can get behind. And that's going to be my plan. It's going to be subsidized Subway sandwiches across America. If you want a foot long, Primetime 9 is going to give it to you, basically. So I love y'all. Peace.